live. We typically don't go live this early, so people are probably like, "What the hell?"
Right.
We're kind of a little bit later with our shit, but
I
it's
know my
cool.
that is readily on hand.
So who all we got in here, y'all? Drop a comment. Let's all say hi to each other. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday evening.
Right? On a Tuesday. Something, 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 something. On a Tuesday.
Something
That's
like
fine
that.
though.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are probably like, "What is with this girl with her cam on and shit?" Because they're not used to that shit either. Like we pretty
Well,
much
too
always
bad.
have the
I don't know how
thumbnail up,
else to. I don't know how else to broadcast.
right?
um,
Well, I'm
I
just
don't know
glad
how
you're
else to
confident
broadcast
with
because I feel
yourself.
like if I don't have my camera on, it's harder to like because I feel like I'm very expressive. I talk with my hands a lot, and I'm a very transparent. Like when I express myself, you can see everything in my face. You can see everything in my motions and things like that. I feel like the gravity or like the intensity of whatever I'm talking about is harder to project with no video. You know,
Right? Yeah.
I've always been that way because I feel like a lot of things that I say have a lot to do with the expression on my face or um like I said, I talk with my hands a lot. It's like to an obscene amount. And the whole storytelling of things relies on it. You know, like it's a whole it's almost like a dance.
Yeah. And I may actually go ahead and open my cam tonight. I don't really do that very often, but and mainly the reason why is because I need to be able to read the comments, and for me to be able to do that, I have to have my reading glasses on, and I don't like people to see that shit. So I'm weird about that a little bit.
Can't find my reading glasses. Ever since I moved, I don't know where the hell they wound up.
And
So
also,
I'm doing the whole
I woke up
holding
today and
everything one way.
I had this whole fucking zit on the tip of my nose. Like, what is this? I'm 53 years old. I don't need that. What am I doing with a zit on my fucking nose?
I thought you were 52.
53.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. I think this is Luna right here. Yes. Luna Decoy, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
Hey.
hello,
How are you?
hello.
Luna
Yay.
Decoy, ladies and gentlemen.
I tried doing my
What
avatar.
happened to your what happened to your thumbnail?
To
Your
my what?
avatar.
No, I'm
Your
gonna come right back in. I I thought I was gonna pop up. I'm gonna come right back.
Okay.
Oh
Give
my
me.
goodness, you
gi-
sound like you're like a robot right now.
Do I really?
No, she
Yeah,
doesn't.
you
Not to
huh?
me. You must be on something. You must be on something.
She sounds good to you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
now
did
you
you ever
sound
Have you
good.
make?
spoken to John?
Did you ever make her admin to the page?
No, because the thing is, I have to have her name and I think probably even an email to be able to do that. So, what I'll do is I'll walk you through it when we get done with this live. I'll walk you through it. We'll go through the steps, and then you can just add her yourself.
All right, I'll right back in.
Do what? Oh,
Good to
she
see you,
dropped
Miss
out.
Steph.
Do what, Lee?
I was saying that I was saying hello to Miss Steph.
Oh,
I'm
oh,
I'm
hey,
saying it
Steph,
right.
there she is. Yeah, Steph, we'll get you added. We'll get you added. As soon as
He's
this is.
illiterate.
Don't need an email.
He's one of
Okay,
those
okay,
illiterates that acts like he's not illiterate.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually pretty good at that part of it, but I mean, like I suck at all this shit, really. But But
Nothing
yeah,
wrong with that.
we'll get you added. We'll get you added, Steph. Okay, there's Luna again. Ah, she dropped back off. What happened? Come back, Luna.
She'll be right back.
Yeah, she was backstage and she popped back out again. So
She's probably having technical difficulties, just like me.
yeah, she was sounding her. I don't know if it was the connection or what it was, but it wasn't sounding that great. But you're kind of freezing off and on a little bit too.
I don't know what to tell you, honey. You just gotta feel. Because I have
See,
full hotel Wi-Fi.
yeah.
So it's not me.
So, oh, there she is. Okay, there she is. She's backstage. Let me pull her up.
Okay.
Okay, we got her.
We got me now. Sorry.
We got you, and there is your avatar. Cool.
Here's my avatar. I figured I wouldn't be so dark this time with my avatar.
That's from that movie, isn't it? V for Vendetta?
That's me, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like
That's me. That's me in my Anon mask.
Is this my? Is it my Wi-Fi that's acting stupid?
I think it
Hold on, let me.
She sounds fine. I sound fine. I look
It always
fine.
is, Mike.
Really fine.
You always sound robotic.
This is just like.
I'm just glad I'm not sweating anymore. I've been sweating like for the last hour. Literally.
You know, it's weird. It's that's weird that you said that because I've been having the same issue for the last 2 days, like off and on. But like I'm in that menopause stage. You know?
Oh no, it's my nerves. When I have too many things that happen too close together,
Mm-hmm.
it triggers my anxiety to like an obscene amount, and then like I personally like let it emotionally overwhelm me. And then like today I was just really nervous, and then I sat down and I started to try to write some things down so I could stay on topic today. And it was a little hard. So then like when it got close to like an hour before I came on, I was like, oh my God, I'm nervous. You know, but it's just something, it's kind of a challenge for me because I like to challenge myself. So it's like It's totally a test of confidence and
She told me earlier she was nervous. I'm like, why are you fucking nervous? Like,
it's a test of courage.
Well, don't be nervous. We're here to support you. I
just have a beverage today. No tacos today. But I do have some Salisbury steak I have to throw in the microwave at some point.
Okay,
well, there you go.
As long as you got the beverage, we're good.
Yeah, I have my beverage, my calming potion.
There you go,
everybody. Welcome in. Y'all jump in the chat and holler at us, and we'll get this thing going.
Hey, Tammy.
And everybody will be free to ask some questions.
So I wrote down a little something that I wanted to kind of open with. It's kind of like just like a disclaimer. Oh, but I do have to say, I did my makeup in a very special way today, guys. I wore blue eyeshadow and white eyeshadow because blue signifies rebirth and white signifies triumph. And that's something that I really hope that anybody that's touched or impacted by
Tammy, welcome in.
Achieves. So white and blue, guys. White and blue.
Tammy. But we're glad to have you.
Well, it's beautiful. You look beautiful. Don't be nervous. Everything will work out.
Sassy.
Say what?
Steph said sassy.
Right? Steph saying that your eyeshadow's sassy.
Oh,
I wish I could, like, I can't, I don't know why. Well, because I'm not on my computer. I can't, I'm so blind. It's not even funny.
See, I can't.
I'm trying to see if I can see your blue and your white eyeshadow, but
well, let me see. Let me get close. Let me see if I can get close.
I'm doing this off my phone, so okay, I see it now.
Yeah. Well, what I did is I did white on the inside, and then I did the blue on the outer.
Yeah, it looks really pretty.
And then I did like a red liner because apparently red signifies victory. I did not know that until today. And I was
Oh,
gonna wear a
gotcha.
red
Yeah,
shirt, but I got
gotcha.
too hot. But you know,
Oh, I
those,
see
those
stuff.
are things. Those are things that I think anyone who's been through anything, not even victims, just people who have gone through rough times, you can pick a small thing like a color or just something that you can use to signify the fact that you went through something and you got over it and you didn't need anything or anyone to do that, and that's a victory in itself, you know. And I think the reason why I'm so obsessed with blue's been my favorite color since I was little, but now more so because I know that it signifies rebirth and recreation. And
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about the whole thing with the vase and the mosaic, and I do believe that that is making something new. So like I try to use color, especially with my makeup. It's kind of like it's a problem, but I try to accentuate things and like and show like, hey, this is why I wear these things. This is why I take the time to like. A lot of people ask me if I wear a lot of makeup because I'm vain or because of something to do with my self-esteem. It actually has nothing to do with my self-esteem. It's just something that I like to use as like, this is my canvas, and when I
Right.
put certain colors on, I'm trying to symbolize something. I'm trying to paint a picture for you of what you might not hear from me. If you don't hear from me, then maybe you can see it in what I'm wearing. You know, it's just part of what helps me cope. A lot of times, you know,
Right.
I've like the journey that I've been on is an 8-year long journey. So trust me, I'm a product of trial and error on how I've chosen to cope with the things I've gone through. Like I've tried so many things to try to deal with what I've gone through.
So
From
what you are going to
drinking,
hear tonight is going to blow
you
you
know,
away.
and like
Yeah.
it gets pretty like I have done the self sabotage. I've done the whole drugging and numbing out. I've done all of it, and to tell you the truth, all it does is prolong having to cope.
Right.
You know, and that's what sucks is like when I got sober, it was funny because it was like everything that would happen, I would feel it emotionally to an obscene amount. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
great, you know, I spent so much time numbing out, but now I got to deal with all of it, you know, like it gets heavy. So like
Right.
now I'm 5 years sober now. And so it's like, when
Congratulations.
I'm going through stuff,
Yeah,
it's not as
congrats.
hard. Oh, thank you. It's not as hard to kind of deal with it. I mean, it's made me accept the fact that I'm a super emotional person. Um,
Right.
but maybe that's something that I needed to discover about myself, that I needed to learn how to love. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a
yeah.
hard. That's always a hard road to
Oh
go
yeah.
down.
Like I had a moment where
Hello, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
I don't want you thinking that I'm cutting
oh
I'm
no no
cutting
no,
you
you're fine,
off.
you're fine, you're
Who's
fine.
ever coming in that we see, we just say hi to them.
Hi.
Just you don't have to. You don't have to.
I don't know how to see that. I just look at the
He
comments.
said more drinks and vitamin D.
Hey, right there. I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
Yeah, but
The
stuff.
vitamin D
What?
is essential.
I'll just
Oh,
keep.
man.
I have no shame in that.
The
I'll just
vitamin
keep
D
my
is essential, right?
my comments to myself about that vitamin D stuff.
You know what? I'm aware of my flaws, and you know, like intimacy is a great medicine for a lot of things. In a lot of points in my life,
Happy to
I've
be
had
a
to have the
supplier.
lack thereof, but when I have it, I love it.
Right?
You know,
Yeah, we like
and
to. We like
for the
to.
record, the actual vitamin D is actually very good for your liver and your skin.
Yes.
So, not the
Yes.
other vitamin D, but the real vitamin D.
Yeah,
Mike can tell. Mike can tell you. I take about 20 to 22 vitamins a day.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a lot of intimacy.
She had me go out and buy like this whole fucking regimen of shit, and I was doing it for a little bit, and then I've kind of slacked off. Sorry, Lena.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's like I've met so many people who have told me that there are certain vitamins that you can even take for mental health issues. There are B complex, or God only knows what complex vitamins that you can take for this, this, and that, and the other that help with so many things that are way, way beyond our body, like as in itself,
So
but that
just
can help with tons of stuff.
so just being deficient, like even like with vitamin D, if you have low vitamin D, it can cause anxiety and depression. It
Right,
can cause a whole slew of health issues too.
right,
Um, that's one.
Wow.
Your vitamin Bs, they're very important to take as well. But basically, if you are deficient, like if you are very deficient on vitamins, that alone is just going to
B12.
cause like mental health.
Well, what I didn't realize is I'm what they call a hypokalemic. Okay, so I have a low
Mm-hmm.
potassium deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa,
And I
just in
lived
case
in
we need to
Arizona
have this
for a long
conversation.
time, which I don't know if you've ever been to Arizona, but like in the summertime on a good day, it's like 120 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
dry heat. Like just open up an oven and then you'll get a gist of what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I
I
sweat
live in a pretty
profusely.
hot. I live in a pretty hot state, so I definitely.
If shit gets
Right. So,
crazy, Teresa,
well, I'm in
if you
Texas
would
now,
take
so
notice
it's hot here, a humid hot though, and I sweat profusely, and my body doesn't make potassium as quickly as I use it up when I sweat. And
Mm-hmm.
potassium is the key nutrient that you need to make electrolytes. So what was
Right.
happening to me is I was literally collapsing, like just out, like
Mm-hmm.
walking around doing things, and I couldn't understand why. And it was because by the time I got to the hospital, they would have to give me like what they call an electrolyte cocktail because I had literally no potassium left in my body and I had no electrolytes.
Right.
And so that got really dangerous for me. So now I try my best to at least, if nothing else, take one a day and drink a lot of coconut water.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times, because like I have a hard time like getting moving in the morning and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when I'm depressed, when I'm or when I'm triggered and dealing with a lot of my PTSD related stuff, it's I feel like my body feels it. Like if I'm not feeling it mentally, my body will make me feel it physically.
So any type of stress that's on your body, any type of anxiety, it depletes
Yeah, it's
your nutrients, your minerals, all of that. So the reason why I take so many vitamins, I was taking like kind of like a one a day, where everything was in one capsule. But the unfortunate part with a multi, it doesn't have enough of what we need.
right.
We are very depleted, uh, you know, because of the dirt. Like it's very toxic.
Oh yeah,
You know.
I know.
So that's why I take so many because I take them individually that have, the right amount that you should have for your age, your weight, all of that.
Right. Well, I'm a big
So
girl, so that's kind of a
yeah,
thing
I
for me.
mean, it's literally like you're either gonna take like 1 to 2 a day. It just depends.
Right.
But I had to figure all this out the last 15 years. I have about 5 different autoimmune diseases.
Oh
I
my
started with
goodness.
lupus. Yeah, I started with lupus, but I should be like really bad. Knock on wood. I've had to figure
What
out a lot
year,
of things.
Teresa?
I've had to cut out a lot of, stuff on my diet. I've had to add things to my diet
Right.
to, get my system working.
So do you have a lot of flare-ups with your lupus?
So my first flare up with lupus, I almost, I almost wasn't here.
Oh
It was
wow.
really bad. Yeah, it was really bad. Took me 2 years to go through my first flare up. They stuck me on like 15
Oh wow.
different types of medications. After 7 months of taking them, I went back to my doctor and I said, I feel worse than what I did before I got on these pills. And I don't know. And I didn't think I could feel any worse. And I told him I want to get off of it. I started losing like eyesight and stuff with because they had me on Plaquenil. And so I got off of everything, and then I just started researching. I started following. He's on Facebook. He's called Medical Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of his good information. I even have his books.
Wow.
That has helped me out a lot. I will celery juice here and there. So yeah, there's like a
Have
lot
that
of
healing.
there's a lot of things that I do that has helped me. But I also do take just one medication that a lot of people have never heard of. But if honestly, if it wasn't for this one medication that I take, um, I might have still been in my 5-year flare up. I don't know.
Right, right. And then, yeah,
But
sometimes that's all it takes is just one little find, you know?
yeah, but this medication, um, Luna, I'm getting annoyed. Is my conflict? Is my
Yeah,
conflict?
when I read that, I was like, that's funny.
I love you, Teresa. You know I love you. You're my girl. But
See, I
so
told you would
I
love
like to tell people my experience
Yeah.
with, just figuring out what fit my needs and even before my 5-year flare up, I was still doing okay. I was still doing okay during my 5-year flare up, but you don't want to feel like that. So
Yeah, you don't. Your body is hating on it, like, and I just want to say, like, I'm glad you're still around.
yes, yeah, I am too. And then I also found out that I'm in early menopause, like probably about 10 years sooner than a normal person.
Yeah,
Which
I'm dreading that. I'm dreading that because
yeah.
my mom wound up menopausal in her 30s,
Mm-hmm.
and then my grandmother wound up menopausal in her 40s, and I just turned 42 in March, so I'm like, rawr, like, because
Yeah.
I'm already so like such a firecracker, and I already have so many emotions. I don't know if I can handle a hormonal imbalance, like, for real.
Yeah, it's bad. I will say that. I was telling my doctor, hey, I think you need to check my levels. Oh, you're too young. You're too young. No, there's just something going on. Like, I just can't
Right.
pinpoint it. I think it's and lupus does affect your like, they affect the hormones. So it's like, I don't know. And it's like people are just or not people, doctors are so like blindsided by lupus too. Like the majority of them, it aggravates
Oh
me.
yeah.
But
Well, they don't have any specialists in that. That's what it is.
well, they used to treat lupus as HIV/AIDS back in the 80s. That's what they used to treat
because
lupus
it's an
as.
autoimmune disease. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but so I left that doctor, went to a different one. And that the one that I left, I was going to him for about 15 years, but I'm like, dude, I need to go figure out what's going on with me. Sure enough, all my levels, I didn't have any. I didn't have any
Don't you hate the
hormones.
doctor dance though? That's what I call it, the doctor dance, where you're looking
Oh
for
yeah.
this doctor, then looking for that doctor, and then this one's not good, and then that one,
Mm-hmm. Well, they do make a lot of money off of hysterectomy, so.
Right, and the thing is too is like I have white coat syndrome, so I hate
I do
going to the
too.
doctor, and it was bad for me because when everything happened to me, I was constantly told to go to this doctor, go to that doctor, and I didn't realize that white coat syndrome also deals with people who deal with psychological disorders.
Absolutely, Tammy. That's what we're here for. Fire away.
Yeah, Tammy said that she went through it in her 30s.
Oh wow!
And then Teresa's. Are you asking me, Teresa, if I see a specialist? I don't see a specialist anymore. I haven't. My MD. I see him every.
To add to this conversation, like
I go to him every 3 months, so he checks my levels and makes sure everything's good. Obviously, if one of my organs are not functioning properly, then he's gonna have to send me off to a specialist. But I probably would have to, like, doctors where I live at, it's just I don't even understand how they even have their PhD. I really don't. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't understand how they have it, but that's a little backside to me. So, I try to stay as healthy as possible and just try to.
Tell me when you want me to start, because I don't know when to start.
Let's wait. Give it, just give it, yeah, give it like maybe another 10, 15 minutes. I want to see who else comes in here. I did post
That's
it on
kind
my
of
page.
what I was feeling. Like let's give some, everybody, because this is early for us. We typically
Yeah.
don't go live this
Just
early.
remember
So
that
now she's got a
I'm gonna need,
broadcast.
I'm
so
gonna need
she's
a
gotta do-
reminder at like give or take 10:30.
Yeah, we won't go that late.
No, I'm just saying
No.
like if we're still on, I'm gonna need a reminder like shut the hell up. You gotta go somewhere.
Okay, I got you.
No, you're
I
fine.
got you. Yeah,
No,
she's got a
Tammy.
Because I'll forget. I'll get
a
lost
bit
in
late.
it, and I'll just keep going. And I have an appointment at 11:30. So
Yeah, so
I'm trying not to be late to it because I'm late for my life. So
Tammy, I actually do take a hormone replacement. I had to. It was really bad. But I take a bioidentical HRT. I don't take your standard HRT. So it's a little bit better than your standard HRT. If you research bioidentical hormone replacement, it'll explain the difference to you. If you're ever interested in it. I did try naturally. I tried so many different things, but my lupus does kick my ass sometimes, and it kicks the shit up out of my hormones, and it was pretty bad. It was really bad. Yeah. Well, you go do that, Teresa. Get squeaky clean for me, please.
oh nice. I knocked myself
You
out.
need swings. Your mood swings are horrible on hormones. People won't like you.
Oh, we got
Neither will your body.
Gary. Oh no, that's you guys. Okay.
Yeah, Tammy, like I said, I mean, that was. See, the bioidentical actually works with your needs, and basically like how much your body needs for hormones. When you're just taking your standard hormone replacement, it's more synthetic than the bioidentical. Well, they are different, and you needed it. Yeah. Yeah, there was no way around. See, and when you don't have that much of your hormones left, unfortunately, people who have autoimmune diseases, they are affected by it even more because it's actually one of your hormones are they are a what am I trying to think of? It's a natural um anti-inflammatory. And so when you don't have it, yeah, that's why I was in a 5-year flare up.
oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like I said, it was pretty bad. I mean, I was still functional. I didn't want to be.
Every time I hear
but
you say 5 years, I'm like, oh my Jesus, Lou.
yeah, it was bad. I muddled through it. I don't take any pain meds or anything like that. I do have a lot of allergies to medications, so.
Yeah, we went through some hardcore shit.
Yeah, my doctor just put me on an anti-inflammatory well, I shouldn't say not too long ago. Back in like what was it, January, because I wound up getting a couple of blood clots in my hands, and that anti-inflammatory put me in liver failure. Remember that, Mike? I was telling you that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and then the scare here recently too was
oh yeah. Yeah. Well, we're good on that. I'm not even gonna manifest that, no.
right.
Manifestation. I love manifestation.
Yeah, if this was on a better note, then I would, but yeah, no, I don't even want to even breathe it into the air. It's over with. I don't even want to even, yeah, that was crazy. But I do have white coat syndrome. I can't stand going to the doctors. I hate it. Every single time I go, they ask me if I have high blood pressure. I said no, it's just because I have white coat syndrome.
Right.
So they always want me to check my blood pressure the day before and the day of. Take a picture of it.
I'll say like this because a lot of people. Oh shit! Sorry. A lot of people will say that there's no such thing as white coat syndrome. Bullshit on that. It is a very real thing.
It is.
If you fear people of the medical profession, that is what is properly called white coat syndrome. And a lot of people have it. Some people fear hospitals. Some people fear doctor's offices. Some people fear just anybody of authority in the medical field. Some people fear, death. Like people just don't like it, and it causes serious anxiety.
Yeah.
And like for me, because I'm empathic and I'm very in tuned, I can't go into like emergency rooms. The energy there will put me down for the count.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I can't really go into like grocery stores.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you know what? I used to love, I don't know if you remember this, but like when Walmart was 24 hours and I could go at like 2 a.m. and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
Because that's when there's too many people, I will get uneasy. Like I'll have to sometimes leave. There was a period of time, especially when my PTSD first started, where I would get on the bus and if it got busy, like too packed, I'd have to get off the bus, wait for the next one, and hope that the next one wasn't so packed that I would wind up having to leave my house an hour early because I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay on the bus the whole time because too many people. And
is the sound good for everybody in the comments? Because I'm getting all this robotic shit, and I just want to make sure everything is good.
It's on your side because I can hear her fine. She can hear me fine. You're a little robotic. Are we still robotic?
Okay, well, I'm gonna back out. You keep the live going, and I'm gonna back out and come back in.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an empath as well, so I definitely understand where you're coming from. I don't know if Mike has also told you, but the trolls on here, they like to call me Miss Cleo. Do you remember Miss Cleo?
Oh my God, call me now.
Yeah.
I love her.
I'm very spiritual. I do get, sometimes I'm contacted by them. So right. I'm Miss Cleo to the trolls, but if you're not,
what a lot of people don't know about Miss Cleo is she was not a psychic. She was literally, what did they used to call her? Basically anything that she experienced was considered fantastic.
Right.
Or, and she was empathic, she was in tune, but she could feel residual energy, which translates to spirits. And she was so haunted, okay, that by the time she got later on in her life, she was starting to go crazy because she would hear all these people and she would take on all these different personalities to deal with all these voices that she heard. And I feel like she got so screwed over. Like that's just a sidebar there. But it's weird because like for me, I feel people and energy and things, but I feel your kinetic energy.
Yes.
Like we have a natural electrical current that runs through our body. And I feel that. It almost feels like kind of like when your foot falls asleep. And over the years, it's kind of weird because in some ways I'm grateful for my PTSD, but I'm not, because it kind of forced me to have to really dig. Okay.
Right.
And when I started to dig, more of my gifts came out. I'm Puerto Rican, so I have a lot of Taino Indian in me, which they're very well known for being one of the 12 lost tribes of Israel, and they have a lot of intuition and spiritual gifts. And so then my grandmother, she used to call me a high priestess because she felt like I was one of the strongest in our family. And I would be talking to somebody like you and I are talking, and if I really felt you, I could connect with you from wherever you were.
Right.
And that was a new thing for me. Like, and I started to kind of be like, I thought I was going crazy after a while. And then I went to go try to talk to somebody about it and see what was wrong with me. And they decided to just go ahead and diagnose me with PTSD-induced chronic anxiety disorder with socially anxious tendencies. Try to say that 10 times fast.
Right.
And I was like, you know what?
I get that feeling. I get it around people.
Literally.
Yeah, Tammy, same.
I literally took that and I said, you know what? I think that what you guys do is you guys tell anybody who's in tuned that they have anxiety. And that's not right. That's not right,
Right.
because the thing is that, you know what, maybe that's what you want to call it. If you want to textbook it, sure, call it anxiety. But what it is it's a gift. It's a gift, and it's something that allows us to be more aware of each other, which is our purpose.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because like if I drive past somebody, and if I even like it, so like if I'm driving and I just keep my face straight forward, I don't look at the person next to me. If I look at the person next to me, like their energy just comes straight over, and I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not liking this.
Right.
So
and
it's
it's a heads up. 9 times out of 10 is a
Mhm.
heads up. But one thing that my grandmother taught me is, she said, if you ever come across somebody who gives you a bad feeling, and you can detect that they have bad intentions, because a lot of times what I feel when I feel people is I feel their intentions or their
oh
plans,
yeah,
right? And she tells me, she's like, don't always dismiss those people, because everything is based on choice. And she used to tell me, she's like, somebody could come to your house and have every intention of robbing you, okay? And you could completely make the evening go different, and that person never wind up robbing you because they just didn't think to do it. So
right.
sometimes it is based on choice, and sometimes you do have to kind of take a chance on that funny feeling. And I think that that's when I meditate the most, is when I start to feel like I'm not being able to detect the difference between bad and misled, or bad and confused, or
So my blind side with people, and I don't know
I
why,
cannot even
that's a good word,
enjoy
blind
this
pocket.
stuff.
is with narcissists.
Oh,
Narcissists, for some ungodly reason, I get tricked by them at first, but it can take anywhere from like a week to a month for me to figure them out, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. You're a narcissist.
you know, it's so
Absolutely.
funny that you say that, and it's actually making me kind of emotional that you say that, because that was one of the most difficult things with everything that happened. Was when it was all over, I was like, how did I not feel this coming? How did I not sense this? And narcissists and people who have a lot of different disorders. I mean, it's not just a quality. It's a disorder. Um, they are good. They are good. And sometimes, especially people who are considered narcissists and are also in tuned, they use those gifts and they turn it into a curse. Okay, and so like if I'm being kind of conned by somebody, 9 times out of 10, if they're successful at conning me, they're probably just as in tune as I am.
So they're called empath vampires because they drain you. They suck the life out of you.
Cool.
This is so bad for me, y'all. I'm like, my sound, it's horrible.
Try to still figure it out.
Are you using Wi-Fi right now?
Huh?
Are you using Wi-Fi right now?
I can't understand anything anybody's saying.
Put it in the chat.
Oh, I don't think I know how to do that. Hold on.
Let me see. I get
This is not good at all. This sucks.
What I'm saying is if you turn off your Wi-Fi, it might be better,
Okay, let me try that.
because then you're just going off of data.
So Tammy said, so being an empath, do you ever dream of some stranger and then actually see that person soon after? Yeah, that's called deja vu.
I don't necessarily dream about things, because unfortunately, for the last 7 years, I can count with 2 hands how many times I've actually had a dream. I now just have night terrors, and the problem with that is that night terrors, you don't remember them. I can't tell you the last time I got to a point of sleep that was considered REM sleep, which is usually when
Right.
you dream. So I think that if I was able to dream again, maybe, but
Thank you guys for that. I can hear now.
okay, good. Yeah, I feel like that's probably the hardest part of what I deal with, is that my sleep and things that have to do with my sleeping, it has been forever affected, and I've gotten to that point where I'm starting to feel like that's never going to change. That will always be. Oh no, you didn't. There's going to be so much that I talk about that could trigger, but it's part of the courage in talking about what I talk about.
If anybody can share us out on your page too, so I'm trying to get a little bit more people in here. We had a pretty good amount in here, and that
Oh,
was
what
that
happened?
was that was that was very that was
Well,
very unlike
and when she
that was
begins
very
to tell this story, like Luna, you're not gonna believe this shit. I mean, this girl has been through some fucked up shit, and she has a hell of a story to tell. And she actually speaks on it publicly and stuff. So this is not the first time that she'll actually have spoken about this, with
right.
people. So there she is. Let me pull her back up.
That back
There
button
she
is
is.
gonna kill me. Yeah. So I just wanted to make it a point to say that as far as triggers and flashbacks and things that have to do with my PTSD, I have dealt with them for so long that it is just part of the program. Honestly, what I did this morning is I sat down and started to write down
You're
some of the
good,
things that I
Tammy.
wanted to
That's
say,
what we're here for. You be. That's what the
so
comments are
that
for.
I could
So
deal
keep it
with those
rolling.
triggers right then, so that way I could deal with them properly when I'm talking about it. That's just something I taught myself, because I like a lot of times when I would talk about stuff, people would be like, oh, that triggered me, or that caused me to have these flashbacks and stuff like that. And I know what that feels like. So what I do is I write down everything that I want to say, so that if it's triggering to me, it'll trigger me right then, and I can just deal with it right then, and then be more strong in it when I talk about it.
So everybody share the live, if you would, please.
Say again.
I was talking to our viewers if they would share the live.
So yeah, so like I like I said before, I am a product of trial and error on my trauma. I've tried a lot of things to try to deal with things. I've done the unhealthy things. I've done the things that that people have told me work. And the reality of it is until I process everything, there is no way to move forward with it. So like now I'm at the point where I have been dealing with the whole experience for a total of 8 years. And so, oh no, you're fine. Don't say that. No, I welcome any kind of commentary and just anything that you might have to say. It's something that I've dealt with for 8 years, and every time I think about it, it hurts just as much today as it did 8 years ago.
Right.
However, it's necessary to talk about. It's necessary to share. And
we have found out that by doing what we do here, like people, it's therapeutic. Like to talk about the things that has fucked us up and brought us to this point in our lives, and
I wouldn't say it's therapeutic, but I would say it's fulfilling, because it.
You don't think it's therapeutic?
No, I don't. I feel like there's nothing that's ever going to make what happened to me feel better.
And no. That's
what therapeutic is when something's therapeutic, it makes you feel better. Now, when it's fulfilling, it makes you feel like you are not alone in the world. That's like a feeling of fulfillment, and I feel like the things that happen to me are never going to not hurt. But when I talk about it, it really kind of paints a picture where you see the bigness of it. You see that, hey, this wasn't just some small thing, and you are still here.
Oh no, it's huge.
And
I really cannot wait until everybody hears your story. It's
the other thing.
All right, I just reposted. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I just reposted on my page our live right now, so I'm hoping that will get the attention.
The other thing that I will say about that, one of the biggest things about trauma, okay, and I didn't, of course, learn this until recently, because everything happened at the first time that everything started happening was 8 years ago, okay, and then I started to heal and work through things and get better for 3 years, and then I got found, and then I literally felt like I was brought right back to day one. Then I start working through it and breaking through, and then again, and then I get found again, and now I'm right back to another day one. And so on and so forth. And so I think that it's more about like you realize that
Or you could,
Are-
Teresa, if you would tag followers.
I'm sorry. You
I'm sorry, I
realize
didn't
that
mean
like
to interrupt you.
it's a cycle, and it keeps going, and then the more you talk about it, the stronger you become in it. The
No,
less
Tammy, I did
afraid you
not
are,
post on.
because
I didn't post to
victims,
TikTok. I probably should have.
us as victims, and I mean, you know what? And if somebody doesn't share in this, or doesn't agree, or has a different opinion about this, I would love to hear this, because I've never actually gotten a lot of input about this. But I feel like a lot of female victims, when things happen to them, they have this mentality of, how could I have let this happen to me? I don't want people to know that I let this happen to me. I'm ashamed that this happened to me. So they choose to stay silent for a long time. I know
No,
for
not right now,
me,
Teresa.
because I'm Puerto Rican and I'm a very independent woman, and I was raised by very independent women, and
You got the
everything was
sauce,
about
Teresa.
don't let life overpower you. I didn't want anybody to know that I was that weak, that I let somebody hurt me the way that they did. So I never gave details about what happened to me. Most of the people that knew about what happened to me either read it on something, you know what I'm saying, or, and so I don't know if other women or other victims of trauma feel that way, but I think that that's another reason why I share so much, because for such a long time I was so ashamed. I felt like what happened to me made me weak, and how could I have let that happen to me? How could I not have seen that coming? How could I not have been strong enough to stop it? And so I don't know if other people agree with that, but that's why I talk so much about it, is because I want people to know that even though I do feel that way still, um, it's not the truth. It's something that we lead ourselves to believe. Um, we lead ourselves to believe that we were weak. We want to keep this image of strength. While the reality of it is yes, I let someone break me. I let someone make me feel damaged. But I'm still here. And the fact that I am still talking about it, despite the fact that in reality, up until about a year and a half ago, I was on the run from this person, and I wasn't afraid, because I didn't care. I wanted justice for what happened, you know? And so I was.
So we're about to get into this now, are we?
Yeah, let's start having her talk. I'm gonna mute because I'm gonna be in the comments. I'm gonna keep an eye on the comments, Mike, and whoever I see is not supposed to be in here, I'll block them. But
Okay.
I will comment because I don't want to cut her off. So I will also trigger warning.
Yeah,
I just
I
don't know
think
how. I
between
just
me and
don't. I just don't
Teresa,
know how
you
to.
guys
I just
will
don't know how to tag
you guys
it.
will have with that. Yeah. So
Let me turn
okay,
my Salisbury steak.
that's awesome. I appreciate that. And so thank you, Luna, and thank you, Teresa, also. Okay, yeah, go for it, Teresa. Just come in on as the pet. There you go. Here we go. Okay, and Luna, thank you too as well. And you guys, y'all are gonna. I mean, this is her story is. I mean, it's sad, but I mean, you see where she's at right now, so you can see that this is tragedy that turned to triumph because she didn't let it defeat her,
Right.
and you know,
Exactly, Tammy. Tammy said words bounce around your noggin and they don't care about how you're feeling. You're right.
yeah.
The mind is very powerful.
Thank you,
And
Teresa. You're so awesome.
You know
we
what?
love you,
The
Teresa.
mind
I love
is
you,
very
Teresa.
powerful. The mind.
More than Mike.
No, you don't. You don't love Teresa more than I do.
I do too. I love
No,
her
you
more.
don't.
Oh, we have a love. We have a love challenge, y'all.
Teresa is she's my girl. Where's Virginia at?
It's a
How come
room of
Virginia's
love.
not in here?
It's a room of love. Let's just say that.
Wait a minute. You can't hold on. Teresa says you can't do anything under admin mode. Delete and then reactivate it. I don't understand that. Well, you're under the
I
page
see.
right now.
I see her. Where's Virginia at, Teresa?
Yeah,
She
where
should be
is
over here.
Virginia?
She
By the
should be
way,
over here listening. Virginia's a really good friend of ours too. You'll love
Okay.
Virginia. She's sweet.
Teresa.
Mike, I heard you.
Please.
I heard you just a moment ago, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate your words.
Exactly, Teresa.
So thank you for your kind words. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for inviting me to come and speak, and having me. It's an honor.
We're so honored to have you.
Yeah. No, we are. I've been waiting all day for this.
Aw.
No, literally, I've been waiting. I've been waiting all day for this. I'm like,
It
come on, 8
is
o'clock.
such a gripping story, and it's tragic, but it's so triumphant because you
Well,
look at it
I hope
right now.
I don't disappoint then.
No, but we should say though
I'm
that
proud
you
of
might
you.
need
I'm
some that
proud
we
of
might
you.
need to that we might need some tissues if it's
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is. That's why I'm like, I don't know why I spend so much time doing my makeup, because I know I'm gonna mess it up. But it is what it is.
Just know that, Lee. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you.
You're a sweetheart. Thank you.
I mean, you have overcame so much.
I
to
am
be where
going
you are
to
today.
point out, though, right now, before I even start talking about anything at all, that this has been a long journey, and I know that a lot of the things I'm going to talk about, unfortunately, are going to be very graphic. I am in no way attempting to trigger or offend anyone with the things that I'm about to say. However, there's no real way for me to filter a lot of the things that I am going to say. I'm going to try to keep it as like as not as traumatic as possible. I'm going to try my best to not get into too much gory detail, but there are things that I'm going to describe that will be relatable to some people who are victims. And if I trigger someone, or if I make someone feel some type of way, any type of way, please just work with me, because once I'm done speaking, maybe it'll help you feel better about whatever it is that might trigger you. A trigger is just a trigger if you let it become that. I know that a lot of times I would hear things about abuses and things like that would trigger me, and I would leave and process it all night. But if I had just stayed and heard that story out, or heard that person out, I would have seen something better in it, and then it was no longer a trigger because I chose to not let it be that. So if I say things that make you feel a certain way, just stick with me a little bit, and maybe you'll feel better about it once I'm done. Okay, that's the only thing I ask. And if you're offended, that's fine. You're more than welcome to no longer want to listen to what I have to say. But it's a whole package. So you really will need to kind of be there with me from beginning to end to understand. So that's all I really wanted
Take us
to
on your journey.
say ahead of time.
Mike.
Yes.
I'm gonna come back in on my 007 phone. So I have a pred that we've been waiting for a while for him to message back. I'm talking about weeks. We thought we lost him. He just messaged me right now. So I'm gonna come back on my other phone. I'll be right back in.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, will you share that with us when you get back?
Yeah.
After we're done, after Lee's done speaking.
Yeah. So I mean, I could just give you a short version of it. So basically, he reached out to me on one of my apps, and this was back in April. And we have not heard from him for about a month. So, but it was straight chatting and phone calls, and then he just upped and left. And now he is also in contact with one of our other decoys. So he's ping ponging off of both the decoys. And So yeah. So
Uh,
it's been a little it's been a little cray with this one, but
She said cray cray.
nothing. Not yeah. I mean nothing too much as of now, but that's why you just got to keep on chatting to
I
see how.
love
Now, but that's why you just got to keep on chatting to
I
see
love
how.
Okay, we're back up and running again, and we can get everybody back in here and get this rolling again. So, as soon as I start seeing some of you come back into the live again, we'll get this moving again. Because if not, then I'm going to shut it all the way down, and we're going to go live um, from a different platform. Obviously, still here on the page, but from a different platform. Okay, I'm seeing some coming in now. Okay, maybe we got this. Maybe we got this corrected. We shall see. Once I see everybody, see some people start filing back in, then I'll feel a little bit better about. Okay, there. Here we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and get our guests rounded back up again. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, so Luna, you can hear me. Is it coming through clear? Are we good? Everything's good. Yeah, I'm starting to see people come back in. Okay, so no, hold on, Lee. I'll relink you. I'll relink you just in case, because I mean, there's a possibility that link is just not any good. So let's see. Okay, y'all hold on 1 second, please, while I drop out and link our guest. Okay, so there you go, Lee. There's a fresh link for you. And Luna, if you no, it's not my phone, Luna. I got a notification from StreamYard that they were having issues broadcasting through Facebook at the moment, and there's no telling what that was about. It could have been just an overage, you know. So there's no telling, but we should be good. We should be good. Oops. Damn it. There we go. Add to the stage. Here we go. She's back.
I'm back.
The
Get up
lovely
off that
Lee.
thing.
Sorry
So,
about that.
is
As
it
I was
good
sitting there
now?
bragging on StreamYard, StreamYard goes and drops the fucking ball.
We need to tell StreamYard, stay humble, StreamYard, stay humble.
Okay, Luna. When you get ready, Luna, just let me know when you're ready to come back up, and I'll drop a link in the chat, or I'll text it to you, however you would prefer that. Okay. Yeah, and you would, because what can possibly, this shit can go awry in a heartbeat. We get our fucking trolls in here, so if you mod the comments, that would be fucking awesome. So, but let's give everybody a minute, Lee, if you would, and kind of let everybody come back in.
Yeah.
We dropped off a few followers here, and maybe everybody might need to reshare the live. If everybody would share the live again, everywhere you can, share it out, and because I think everybody's gonna really love to hear this story. It's worth listening to.
I think you're giving me a little too much credit.
I mean, for what we are here for and what we do here for, no, it's. I mean, it's definitely, and most of the people here that listen to us and follow us, they've been through, similar kind of shit as you have, but I mean, not quite to the extreme as your story.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, definitely no, don't feel that way. Your story is definitely worth telling, and hopefully will help some people, because
I hope
that's
so.
the whole mission, right?
It is. I will say, as a heads up, because a lot of times when I've spoken about this in the past, it's always been a concern about my safety. Because in the past, it's been about 2 years since I've spoken on my
Which is
story.
why I told you did not have to go on cam.
Hold on, I'm not done, sir. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
No, just I'm no longer on the run. My abuser is in prison. So it's not a relevant concern. I'm not on the run anymore. So like if I had tried to do this like a couple years ago, yeah, that would have been a safety concern. But now I'm perfectly free to speak on what I need to speak on without having to worry about being found tomorrow or anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
So everybody can rest assured that it's not incriminating or a giveaway as to where I am because I'm not on the run anymore. My running stopped about a year and a half ago when I got to Texas. So nobody has to worry about, you know, anything bad happening to me.
Absolutely. So, you know, and that was the main reason why I stressed to you several times that you did not have to go on cam if you did not want to, you know, because
I'm perfectly comfortable.
okay. And I know you are, and you know, I
If
mean,
I thought
you're
that my safety was at risk, I wouldn't be here.
mhm.
I put myself in more more situations to be found by speaking publicly in person than I have on any stream. It's kind of funny. But
Yeah,
I've
for
always
sure.
kind of gone about it confidently. The way I look at it is if something bad's gonna happen to me, it's gonna happen to me no matter what. I mean, it's in the cards, you know what I mean? But like I I'm I am now done running.
But
That's where
it
that's
was very dangerous for you at one point in
oh yeah.
time to
Hmm.
yeah. So if I could just preface a little bit, guys, you know, she has spoken publicly um with this what she's going to tell us, the story that she's going to tell us tonight. So um
Well,
this
actually,
isn't
there's one exception. The one exception is this one has an ending.
yeah,
I've never had an ending before,
well,
so I like
I mean,
that. I'm excited
I
about that.
okay, I like the optimism.
No,
Hey
for real.
Kathy, how
Like,
you doing? Glad to have you in. Would you share the live? Everybody share the live? Appreciate that. So would you like to kind of maybe um preface your situation a little bit first, or would you want to just
I'm
jump
just
right
gonna
in?
start. I'm just gonna. I'm just gonna go ahead and go. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay.
I will
Absolutely. The
say,
floor is yours.
and I said this a little earlier, but I'm going to say it again because it is very important. Um, the story I'm telling today is rough.
Trigger warning.
It's an 8-year journey, and there are details about it that, as much as I wish I could, I can't dumb down or rephrase. And I am in no way intending to trigger anybody or offend anyone. But I feel like the thing about triggers is when you have a trigger, it's you have to process it and you have to deal with it. But if there's things that I say that you feel trigger you, things that I say that make you kind of feel like you're going right back in time to whatever it is that you were dealing with, I only ask that you try to stick with me for a little while, because if you hear me out, you might wind up walking away feeling better about whatever it is that might have gotten to you in what I said. Um,
Absolutely.
a trigger is only a trigger if that's how we define it. Everything is by our own definition. And like I said, I've been on this journey for 8 years, and there have been so many times that I've been triggered, or I'll wind up with flashbacks, or I'll wind up with days where I have to go home and kind of relive everything all over again. And if I had just kind of stuck it out a little bit, there would be something to help me feel better about it. And so I just ask that if you are really interested in hearing what I have to say, that you just kind of stick with me a little bit, and we can kind of just get through it together.
Stick
And
with
in
the
no
screen.
way
You're gonna want to
am
hear
I
this.
in no way intending to offend or cause anyone any harm in what I'm about to talk about. Okay. I just want to share my story because when things like this happen to us, we wind up walking around feeling like we're damaged goods.
You're
We
amazing.
wind up walking around feeling like we let someone make us feel small. And I would love to share my story because I want people to know that there's no such thing. That there's no such thing as damaged goods. There's no such thing as broken.
And
There's only an
victory beyond the
opportunity to make
tragedy.
a new work of art, and there's only a new manifestation of justice and triumph and courage because we're not broken and we're not defeated and we're not ruined by anyone or anything. Um, so my journey kind of started about 8 years ago. Like I said, I was a single mom. I was going to medical assisting school and I was studying for a test on the bus. And I gave my seat to an elderly woman. And this gentleman started talking to me and he asked me what I was studying for. And we kind of chopped it up. And I gave him my number and I never do that, you know. And I was very well charmed by this gentleman. He was very good looking. And I remember I was like, why is somebody so good looking talking to me and this and that and when like we talked about it and he had told me that he was very attracted to the fact that I was studying for something. He was very into like knowledge and books and reading and things like that. um so then long story short, we met. He befriended me, my girls. We fell in love really fast. He was going to church with me. He was really into the Bible. He spoke Hebrew, for Christ's sakes. I mean, like, he played the part amazingly. We were in a relationship for 2 years, um, where we were like in love, happy. Never, he was never mean to me. I mean, we'd have disagreements, but we were always in a pretty happy relationship. And then on a random day in July, he just kind of switched. um when I spoke to his mom and his sister about it, they think that that day in July was like an anniversary of something, yet nobody can figure out what that was an anniversary of. But that day he just started acting like someone I never recognized. He began to like accuse me of weird things, like if I went to go donate plasma, he would tell me that like I didn't have to lie, that that I could just tell him that I went and like let 4 guys, have sex with me, and like weird accusations that were like, first of all, they weren't like me, and they just weren't normal accusations to for me having dealt with this man, and then he started to get abusive, um randomly, and then he began to just start to get really like weird sexually. Um and what wound up happening is he basically told me one day that I wasn't allowed to go anywhere outside of this internship that I had been in, downstairs at the shelter that I was living at. I was in like a transitional housing program there. And so I would literally go to my training and then he would be waiting for me at the door like when I was done. And then I would go up to my apartment and he would proceed to sexually torture me. I don't have any other words to say what was happening. Um, and then I would go pick up my daughters from daycare at the end of the day, and then we would have this great evening with dinner and everything. And then when the girls would go to sleep, it would just proceed to happen again. Um, he would like tie me up, and he would basically his favorite thing to do was to do meth and make me proceed to give him fellatio for hours on end. And he would get really abusive and like threatening, like he'd put knives to my neck and things like that. And it became so bad that like I started to look at sex differently. And that happened for 3 months, like 3 months straight of just sexual torture and being trapped in my home. Um, Through research after everything happened, I had found out that he targeted single moms, and his strategy was to make you choose him over your children so that he could understand what it was like to be like the men his mother was with when he was a child. It had turned out that he had borderline personality disorder and he had been removed from his house a lot as a child he had a lot of traumas that had turned into something way more intense than anything I had ever seen in my life. My victim's advocate said he was a clinical sadist. And the difference between me and his other victims in the past was that I was so similar to his mom. When I did research talking to like the people in his neighborhood, they told me that I was so much like her, even in how I talked with my hands. The only difference is she had blonde hair and blue eyes, and that's probably why I caught his eye, was because I was so kind to the elderly lady on the bus, and that personality trait was so much like his mom's that that's what made him kind of like target me. So after the 3 months of him torturing me, there was a day that we came home, and I was the one who would purchase the drugs that he needed to do what he did to me. And so he had asked me if he could see it, and I told him to give me a minute. When I told him to give me a minute, he started to choke me. We wound up wrestling through the whole apartment, and my daughters weren't with us that day. They went to their dad's house. And he was just choking me he kept choking me till I passed out. And then when I would come to, he would tell me, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. And I remember thinking to myself, he's trying to make me look like I'm crazy, and like my instinct was just to like panic. And so I'm just like flailing about, and I just remember I looked at my daughter's bunk beds and I said, if I don't get out of here today, I'm going to die. So it was like the 4th time that I'd passed out. And I came to, and I started to feel like I was fading, And I just remember I heard a kid cry outside. And he turned his head. And I remember I punched him in his, crotch. And I lived in a place where we had cameras everywhere. So I knew that as long as I got my door open, he wouldn't come after me. And so I get the door open, and I remember I'm running down the hall with one sock. And I'm just like running down the hall, like, somebody please help me. And I call, somebody opens their door and they call 911. And I remember the police officers were asking me all these questions, stupid questions like, what's the date today? And like, just, but like, I'm getting angry at them, but like, I can't really think of what day it was, and so I remember I collapsed. And when I collapsed, they took me to some place called a family advocacy center, which is apparently where they go, and like they take you if you are a domestic violence victim. I had never heard of anything like that before, but I remember I woke up, and when I woke up, I have all these like weird cameras and gadgets, like everywhere, taking pictures of me and like checking all these things, and they're asking me if I have children, and they asking me all these questions, and they're seeing that I have burn marks on my cigarette burn marks on my arms, and like hand marks on my neck. My lip is fat, and it's bad, and they have all these like advanced high tech like machinery that like tell them how old all my marks are, and they can tell that some of them are not from that night, and I mean, I still have like the marks from the cigarettes on my hands, and so there was an incident that had happened a few nights before that he had put a cigarette out on me, and my little girl stood in front of me and told him not to burn her mommy. And so as a result of that, Child Protective Services removed the children from my home for failure to protect, because I was being abused and I was willingly staying in a relationship, risking exposing my children to that environment. And I just, the only thing I really can say about that, because I really don't, there's not much I can say to defend that, is I don't really think there is such a thing as somebody willingly staying in a relationship like that, you don't have a choice. Your life is being threatened. You're trying to protect yourself and your children. Um, and so because I lost my children, I lost my home because I was in a family housing program. And I proceeded to go on the run because he just started finding me and finding me and finding me and finding me. And it didn't matter where I went. I would go stay with friends. He would find me again. Um, I I lost count at 16 how many times he tried to kill me. Um, uh, when I and mind you, still to this day, I will be so ever so grateful for my victims advocate because she really helped me understand um the science in it because and mind you, I am not trying to justify any of this in any way, but for a long time it helped me to say to myself that it wasn't his fault because he wasn't okay here. Um, because he was kind of sick here too. He was mistreated in some ways, and that maybe if he really knew like how to act right, that maybe he would um have done what he did. Um, the hardest part of everything was I went into a really dark place psychologically because I couldn't understand how a person can tell you they love you and watch tears roll down your face while they're forcing you to please them sexually. I couldn't understand how a person could find pleasure in the fear that they've put in you. I couldn't understand how a person could destroy intimacy for you and be okay, you know. Um, and it had just so happened that my victims advocate was somebody who was going to like psych school, and she specialized in people with borderline personality disorder and specialized in people with sadistic matters. Um, and so what wound up happening is I got really meticulous about wanting to find out what the root of all of this was. So I went and I interviewed his family and I interviewed like his neighbors, people he grew up with, and things like that. And I'll never forget when I had the conversation with his adoptive mother, which was this older Mexican lady, and she just adored him, but she knew a lot about his past. And I had found out that he had had two other girlfriends in the past that he had done this to. One of them just one day snapped and like literally beat the crap out of him and then disappeared, like changed her name and like I don't. She might as well have gone into the witness protection program because nobody can find her. And then the other one, they dated for a small period of time, and he put her in a coma. And she told me all of this, and she tells me that I'm the one that lived, and that's a really scary um way to tell somebody something because it's like in reality she's right because the girl in the coma she was never the same after that and then um the other girl kind of like literally had to throw away her whole life and I was the only one that was still going under my same name and like kind of existing because the reality of it was is I didn't understand the severity of what was going on. So then he finds me again and he tries to kill me on a train in Phoenix, and on a light rail station, and somebody called the police, and he of course gets away, and but at the same time, it gave me the opportunity to kind of like move to a different neighborhood and kind of hide, right? And so that's where my healing or my attempts to start healing happened. But at the same time, it was also the beginning of me realizing that I was severely damaged. That's when my night terror started. Um, Everything. I mean, I couldn't. I would go to try to be intimate with someone, and I would have so many flashbacks while I was trying to have intercourse or just be affectionate with someone, even just making out with someone would make me feel like, oh, I'm, am I going to get hit if I do this for too long or if I do this wrong? I mean, it really can mess with your self-image. You start to feel like you've been ruined for anybody else to kind of enjoy. You get that, like I talk a lot about a book. Like you buy a brand new book at like Borders, and it's fresh, it's crisp, and then over time you get like jelly and rips and tears in this book, and so then you fast forward to like a yard sale, and no one's going to want to buy this book. Nobody's going to want to buy a ratted out book, and so I had to kind of teach myself how to be intimate again, teach myself how to believe that I wasn't expendable or damaged goods. And then about 3 years after everything happened, mind you, in the process of those 3 years, I wasn't able to get my children back because I had to disappear because I was on the run from him for so long. My rights were severed from my baby.
You're doing good. You're doing good, Lee.
My rights were severed from my baby, which unfortunately, like he wanted that. Like he would laugh when I would say things about me trying to get my kids back. And, like he almost found it like as a victory. And all of it, unfortunately, like it's very sad because a lot of it is rooted from the things he went through with his mother when he was a child, because she was constantly losing the kids from CPS. She was constantly bailing on them and stuff like that. So for him, it was like a victory, because to him, this was punishment because I never chose my children over him, or I never chose him over my children. That was the whole goal. He wanted you to choose him over your children. But according to his mother, she believed that there was another factor in me specifically, and that was that I was so much like his mom that not only did he want me to choose my children over, or choose him over my children, he wanted to punish me as if he was able to punish his mom, because his mom had passed away when he was younger. I think this was his way of kind of satisfying a lot of pent up animosity that he had towards her. And that's what made it so much more dangerous for me personally. Um, I was remembering something that everybody was talking about yesterday about like support for the families of these people who are predators. And it's funny because his parents and his family were so amazing to me. They were scared for me. They wanted to protect me. They wanted to help me, and they couldn't because he was a very dangerous person. And they tried to warn me so many times. And even if I wanted to try, I couldn't get away. I couldn't. He would follow me. He'd find me. Um, you know, and so I wind up starting this new life and moving out of the neighborhood. And it's so funny because of all the time I spent running from this man while I was out in the streets. All it took was me moving to a whole different part of town, and he lost me for a while. It was just kind of crazy, it was like this effortless hiding, and then one day I get a phone call from a prosecutor who tells me that he's been arrested. um I don't know. That's one thing that nobody ever told me, but they did say that she was his favorite person and she ignored them, him and his brother and sister. She ignored them a lot. She used to be one of those bodybuilders, like kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they get like, like she's like a championship bodybuilder, and she wound up becoming one of those consultants in like movie sets and stuff. And somehow she wound up getting hurt, and uh, then she became a truck driver, and she got into some sort of accident, and I think they said she lost a finger of some kind, but she wound up getting into this accident and she became a pill popper and she loved crack. So whenever she was home from her many trips, she would just be home getting high and fucking around with all these men instead of her children. And they loved her so much, they wanted her attention so much, but they couldn't get it. And I think that that's where he developed this like complex in a way about it. And I remember there was this one day that we were having this chill conversation, and he did tell me that he knew there was something wrong with him because he watched a porno where they were hurting a girl and he liked it. And he realized that something was wrong with him. And my victims advocate told me that that's where the sadism happened, where his borderline personality disorder became sadistic when he found sexual pleasure in my torture. Um, which was just like insane to me. Because like one of the biggest things, okay, and I'm sorry I keep jumping back and forth, but one of the hardest things for me to accept about what had happened was that I spent 2 years falling in love with this man, and I was convinced that he spent 2 years falling in love with me. So when you're making love to someone and you feel that they're in love with you, you feel like this is real, and then all of a sudden they just switch into this person that can torture you. I'm talking like no mercy. That was hard for me to swallow. That was hard for me to like grasp. And so like she did mistreat them, but she didn't mistreat them in the way that was the same. It wasn't the same. I feel like he went to another level with his sadism, and that's what my victims advocate was telling me. Like what they'll start to do is they'll start to research many types of sadomasochism and what they all do, and then they take it to another level. And I think that that's what he did because like one of his and I'm sorry if I'm getting too graphic, but one of his biggest things was he loved
Fine.
deep throating. Okay. And so he would make me go down on him for like 6 or 7 hours. And then he would like, there was this one day that I decided to like do this test because I panicked. Okay. And I told him that I was sick. I had a cold and I couldn't breathe through my nose. And he would like push my head down. And I was like, I need you to take it easy on me because I can't breathe through my nose. And like, he just kept doing it. And I started to panic. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm going to play possum. So I pretended to faint, okay? And I thought to myself, okay, if I pretend to faint, this man is going to panic and he's just going to stop doing what he's doing. And so I pretend to faint and I just hear him like say, oh, and he puts himself deeper into me. And I'm freaking out, but like remember, I'm trying to play possum here, okay? So I'm like, I'm in big trouble here. I'm in deep shit. Like because that's not normal. That's not something that, that somebody that cares about you is going to do, and lo and behold, it wound up just, that was the beginning of the end in a sense. So when, when he gets found 3 years later after everything happened, the prosecutor tells me that he was basically in custody for some other crime. I think he was like violation of probation or something that had nothing to do with what happened to me. And the attorney or the what do you call it, the district attorney's office was reopening strangulation cases that had happened within the last 5 years and pursuing justice for them. And I was one of those strangulation cases. And because he was in custody, they decided to go ahead and prosecute him for this. And I'm freaking out because I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna finally get some justice for what's happened. Because listen, guys, there's no life sentence for assault. And unfortunately, I was told that unless I had physical evidence for every incident of torture, there was nothing they could do to help me. So I knew no matter what, that man was going to get out of jail and he was going to make me pay, you know? So I really didn't want to help anyone do anything to him because I was going to be the one to pay, you know? Because there's no life sentence for aggravated assault. There's no life sentence for assault. There's no life sentence for domestic violence. There's no life sentence for a lot of those things that happened to me. And I'm sorry, but I don't really even know what the definition of physical evidence for every incident of torture means. So I was highly let down by my justice system. So this prosecuting attorney is new at her job and she suckered me, man. She really did. She told me, she's like, I really need your help because I believe that if I don't take this man down, he's going to hurt other women. And the way, when she said that, I felt a responsibility to any other person because nobody deserves to go through that. So I went ahead and I agreed to testify. It was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. My boyfriend at the time, man, like he was amazing to me because, like, of course, I have a lot of anxiety issues that I've had since I was young, and so I get nervous in courtrooms. Those small cameras and everything that goes on. That was like really scary for me. It was a scary thought, you know. And I remember they have this thing where, like, if you're about to testify, um, oh yeah, it's very felt. And mind you, I feel like their hearts were in the right place, especially that prosecuting attorney, because I think her issue was that she was new and she probably didn't realize that she was in a corrupt system, and all these things that she was pursuing were probably for not for you know for not. But I really believed in what she was trying to do, you know, and so I remember that the first meeting or interview that you have with them, they have to walk you through the entire incident, and ask you all these questions. And I'll never forget it because, and this kind of goes right back to what I was talking about when I woke up in that family advocacy center. Everything that they collect from you at that family advocacy center goes to the prosecutor. Okay, every picture, every document, every piece of evidence goes to the prosecutor. You don't even have a right to see it until they decide to show it to you. So I go into this room and I see this folder, and the first picture on the folder. The first picture on the folder is the apartment number of the unit at my transitional housing. And I lost it. It was the trigger of all triggers, you guys. I knew what was coming and I was terrified, you know. And I'll never forget it because it was 1112, apartment 1112, you know, and you just see the number, you know. And so it's this stack like this high of pictures. Okay. And she sits down with me. And that was the day that I met my victim's advocate. Her name was Mary. I'll never forget her. And she had a dog that was a German Shepherd, and he was like a therapeutic dog. And man, let me tell you something about those dogs. They work. They are so helpful when you're scared shitless, let me tell you. But she starts going through each picture, and she showed me like a picture of the pillow on the couch with my blood all over it, and asks me what happened here. Then she shows me a picture of like the hall and the picture of the spot on the floor where we were wrestling, and then the door that I came out of as opposed to the door that we came in from, and the sliding glass door, and my blood on the walls, and I had to kind of tell her everything as it happened, step by step, step by step, step by step. And it was like I was there all over again from day one. And then she tells me, she's like, we're going to have to, basically what they do is they make you do that interview. They tape record you, and that's what they use as your testimony when they're in court. So that way they don't have to actually have you in the room or in the courtroom. But she tells me, You are, however, going to need to come in to the courtroom, and they're going to tell you his name, and you're going to have to look at him and say, yes, that is Fernando Brock. Okay. And I remember I told my boyfriend at the time, I said, Fernando had this way of looking at me. And when I say Fernando, that's like a nickname. It's his middle name because I don't want to use his first name out of respect for his family. But Fernando had a way of looking at you in a certain way. And when he looked at you in a certain way, it was like, you're in deep shit. Like, wait till I get to you later. And I remember I told my boyfriend at the time, I said, I'm scared that he's gonna give me that look and I'm going to freeze and I'm not gonna be able to move because I'm gonna be that terrified. And so I remember, and then I was worried about my anxiety, like you wouldn't believe. I felt like it was either gonna be my anxiety or my fear that was gonna freeze me in this courtroom, you know. And it's like stage fright on steroids and crack, I'm telling you. Um and so I go and they say all those things and they ask me to look at him and or no, they say his name and all his information and they say, is that person in the room today? And I said yes. And then they say, could you please point him out? And I look at him and he's giving me that look. And it was like he just kept like doing this with his head and giving me that look. And I remember I couldn't point. But instead he's right over there. And I just kind of like raised my head a little bit, like went that way. And then I looked and I just remember, and then I just looked straight. And I don't remember a lot about what happened in that moment, but I remember my boyfriend at the time saying to the lawyer, you need to get her down from there. She's freezing and you need to get her down now. And the prosecutor was like, just give them a minute. They're almost done. And he's like, no, do you not see her? She needs to get down. And I remember Greg literally went past the bailiff and grabbed me and he was like, you're safe. I'm here. Let's go. And then he just kind of like walked me out of the courtroom. And then we went to this victim's room. And the reason why I felt the need to say that was because I don't know where in their sick and twisted world perspectives people think that bringing you into a room to identify somebody doesn't pretty much tell them that you're the one that's helping them take them down. But that's where I signed my death certificate, was when I went in that room and I identified that man. Because from that point, it was not just about punishing his mother. It was about destroying me for taking him down. And I remember thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe I did something good. And when they sentenced him, it wound up being that they didn't even need my testimony because he took a plea. And he was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. But since he had already been in custody for about 9 months in county, it took about half that time off. So he was out very quickly, and there was no justice for me. However, I continued to live my life. I had a great roommate who really helped me through a lot of my PTSD issues, and my boyfriend was at the time was very supportive. And unfortunately, that relationship didn't work because of his addiction to opiates. But in the time that we were together, he was one of my biggest support systems. And I will say, I don't have anything bad to say about that relationship because it helped me gain so much strength and gain so much control of my issues. And it was the reason why when he found me, I never thought it was going to happen because I had 2 men in my life that never let anything happen to me. So when he wound up in jail and then my roommate passed away suddenly, I was living in this trailer by myself and someone knocks on the door at 2:30 in the morning and it was him. And I just remember I opened the door like, who the fuck is knocking on my door so late? And it's him. And he pulls me out of the trailer and we're like wrestling around the floor. And I don't know why he's so adamant about choking me to death, but like he just kept choking me. And the neighbors next door were having a barbecue or something, and they were still outside playing dominoes. And they heard, because there was like gravel outside of the trailer, so they heard all this rustling, like what's going on out there. And so they heard him, and I'll never forget it because they were very Mexican. And so this Mexican brother of the neighbors sat on him until the cops came. And I'm sorry. And so when the police arrive,
Great.
mind you, he's on probation at the time, and the police ask me all these questions, and they take him. And I wind up finding out about 48 hours later that he was released because the witnesses of this incident were illegals, and so they were not considered credible witnesses. So there was nothing to prove the incident, which to me, that's where I feel like something corrupt was going on there. Because you saw the man on my property. You know that I'm a victim in a case where he almost killed me. And one of the charges on the case was attempted manslaughter. And you're not going to get him for violation of probation for that. Because of the Mexicans who didn't have papers next door. So that inflamed me. But somehow that incident spooked him enough that he didn't want to go back to prison or something. So he wound up he didn't contact me or try to find me or do anything like that after that. And so basically, I think it rustled him enough to realize, like, hey, your freedom is at stake or whatever. I really don't know what went on there, but there was two things that went through my mind when that incident happened. That is a very intelligent man. And the fact that he pulled me out of that trailer was not smart. But I guarantee you that if he had pulled me into that trailer, I would not be here. I would not be here today. So I thank God every day that maybe he wasn't in his right frame of mind when that happened. I really do think that he was on some kind of substance. But I proceeded to have a complete and total breakdown where, because I lived in a trailer. So like when he knocked on the door, it was like one of the side doors. And I remember I was getting ready for work like the next day, and I kept feeling like, hurry up, you need to get the hell out. Like I kept fearing that somebody was gonna come charging down my hallway and like kill me. So I proceeded to become so afraid to go in my house that literally like I slept and spent all my time in my carport or / garage work area. The only time I went inside that trailer was to go to the bathroom or take a shower, which was right by the front door. Like I I even got so into grilling all my food because I didn't want to have to go inside and use the stove. Like I had already loved fire pits, and I love working with tools and stuff. I was in the middle of building some stairs and shit, so I was using all my scrap wood and shit to cook my food. Like I didn't want to go in my house. When I fast forward, I keep thinking to myself, how did I get to the point where it's been almost 10 months and I haven't been in my house? And I knew I had a problem. I knew there was something wrong. And that's when I had to start processing my trauma again and facing everything again and trying to find my way out of this hole. That's where I realized if you don't process what's happening, you will become owned by everything that happens to you, no matter how much you forget it. If you wind up just staying in this dark place, it will have, you're defeated. That's it. You're done. You know? So, and that was probably the hardest part, was talking myself out of my breakdown, because I didn't realize that it was a breakdown to begin with, you know? And music is what helped me. I had discovered a rapper, his name was NF, and he had gone through a breakdown as well. And listening to a lot of his lyrics helped me. And then I wound up befriending a girl who was going through something very similar to what I was going through, and she lived in another state. And I used to PK her during live broadcasts while we were singing, and she heard my story and told me that she wanted to find the courage to leave. So I went and I dug up some resources about her local, you know, um, domestic violence shelters and stuff, and I wound up having enough having enough people that I knew that I was able to find someone in her state that was willing to drive to her house, take her to a public place where the domestic violence shelter could pick her up, and she was able to run away from her abuser. And something about the fact that that she didn't even have to get to the point where she had to fight her way to not die. The fact that she didn't even have to get to that point where she had to try to understand why this was happening to her. It just felt so good. And so that is why I felt so passionate. I started to become so passionate about getting over my trauma because I wanted to be able to, you don't realize. I'm sorry, guys. I can tell you, I lost count at maybe 60 hours. How much time I spent staring at the wall, just in shock. How much time I spent replaying the last 2.5 years trying to pinpoint exactly where I might have done something to cause what happened to me to happen. And it was for nothing because I didn't do anything. And if I could save anyone the hours that I spent just kind of staring into space for no reason, that just, it makes it all the more worth it. The time I spent trying to figure out where I messed up. So many women do that. So many people do that because it's not just women that go through this kind of stuff, you guys. And so many people try to figure out what they did to set that person off so that they hurt others, and just to be able to save somebody that time is just one thing, And so then about, give or take, no, about a year and a half ago, when I was in Arizona and I was working at this, I was doing good. I was kind of like forgetting everything, and I go to work and my roommate calls me at work and says, "Hey, somebody was just here looking for you." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Because at the time, I was sober already and I wasn't really dabbling in selling drugs or doing anything like that. So who would be looking for me, kind of thing. And they're like, "Yeah, kind of 5'7", looks kind of like half black, half white, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And this light bulb. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I didn't know, I don't know what it was in my head, but I knew that it was him knocking at my door. And so I panic and I'm like, "I got to get the hell out of here. This is not going to work." So I literally went to my local, what do you call it? Shelter, emergency shelter, because they had a program where you could get a bus ticket to anywhere in the US so that you could let's say you had a family member and they said you could stay with them, but you didn't know how to get there. Well, you could go to the shelter service, and as long as they could call that person and verify that you could stay with them, they would buy you this ticket, right? And so I ran, and I'll never forget because I said to myself, "I don't know where I'm going to go," and I sing on a karaoke app, and so I had a really good friend from that app that was really tight with me. He was like my best friend, and he was like, "You could come here," right? So I said, "Okay." Well, they call him. He says, "Cool, no problem." So they give me the ticket, and I hop on the bus. So when I'm on the bus, I'm on my way to Houston. Okay, so I spent a couple weeks there, and then another friend on my karaoke app says, "I have a friend who needs a roommate." so you can come over here. So then I hop on another bus and I go to Austin, Texas. So, oh, and then that person winds up not working out. So I'm literally outside. I don't know. So I wind up in Austin with all my belongings outside, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go next, type of thing. And my phone rings, and it's him, and he's asking me how I'm enjoying Taylor, Texas. And at the time, Taylor was a small town outside of Austin, which was the exact town that I was in. It wasn't like he was saying, "How are you enjoying Austin?" or "How are you enjoying Houston?" No, he knew the exact town that I was in. So I'm freaking out because at that point he hangs up the phone, and I don't know if he's in Texas. I don't know if he's in this town. I don't even know if he's a few feet away from me, you know. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, in Arizona they have 211, so they must have something like it here. So I remember I called 211, and this lady, I said, I just need help finding an emergency shelter. I'm running from an abuser. Yeah, pretty much. And so she texts me this long list of shelters that I can call to find out if they have beds available. And I feel like telling this woman, like, I don't have that kind of time, you know. And so, but I just take it in stride. And I remember this man on a bicycle rides his bike by and says, "Are you getting wet out here?" Because, oh, by the way, it's raining. Okay. And I'm looking up at this tree and I'm like, well, not yet. I will say one thing that's good about Texas is you can stand under a tree, and if it's big enough, it'll keep you dry for a good minute. And so he's like, well, I don't want you getting wet. Why don't you come and sit on my porch and you can do what you got to do? And at that moment, I'm thinking to myself, this was good because I'm with another human being. So if he is somewhere nearby, I'm okay, you know? And so I remember by the time I got on his porch, the sun was starting to go down. And by the time I had found a shelter on from all my calls, the sun was about to start rising. And um, I remember when I got to Texas, I said, the one town I don't want to go to is Waco. And I'm like, I call all these towns, and I'm calling, and I had only been able to find a shelter in 2 towns with an open bed. One was in a town called Bernie, the other one was in a town called Waco. And I remember I held up the phone and I said, "How the hell am I supposed to get to Waco from here?" You know, I'm freaking out. And the guy who owns the apartment comes outside and he was like, "Excuse me, I couldn't help but over here." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "But I have a friend who's coming over for dinner tonight and he's from Waco." And I look at the guy and I'm like, "Are you trying to hang out with me? Because, you've been more than kind. You know, you don't have to do that." And so he's like, "No, I swear to God," or whatever. Lo and behold, this man comes and they have their little dinner and shit. And he goes, "I have a friend here who's trying to get to the nearest emergency room in Waco. Um, can you help her?" And I remember he said, "I don't know you. Do you have any drugs or paraphernalia on you?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Well, I really don't want to wind up dead in a ditch somewhere." And I said, "All due respect, sir, but if I was trying to kill you and leave you in a ditch somewhere, you probably wouldn't know about it." And he says, "I like you." And he grabs all my things and puts them in his car and drives me to Waco, leaves me at this emergency room with $20 and 4 of those little mint lifesavers, and says, "Best of luck to you," And the DV shelter that picked me up was called the Family Abuse Center. And shout out to them for everything they do for many, many victims. And they're completely confidential, high security. I mean, wow. I had never seen a domestic violence shelter like this, and I hope that there are more in the states like that. But they picked me up, and I was there for about. And I had explained to them that although I hadn't come into contact with my abuser, this and this had happened, and he had been calling me. And I'll never forget it because before I hung up the phone with the gentleman at the Family Abuse Center in Waco, He specifically told me, before you head to Waco, Texas, turn off your location services on your phone. And I specifically remember hanging up my phone and saying, why do I have to turn off my location services? And then I said to myself, my Google Maps timeline. Fernando had an old Google account of mine. And it doesn't matter if you buy a brand new phone, guys. If you log your Gmail account into that phone, whether your location services are on your phone or not, there are checkpoints on those accounts, or you can look up your Google Maps timeline and it'll tell you anywhere you are, unless you disable it manually. And that account I had for about 10 years. So every phone I ever got had that account on it. That's how he kept finding me. Every time was he would log in as me to his phone and it tracked me on his Google Maps timeline. And I really don't know how I didn't catch this before, guys, because I am very attentive to my Google account. And it dawned on me in that moment. So when I disabled it and I headed to the shelter, and it was like that eureka moment where you're just like, I figured it out, and so I'm at the shelter. I'm at the shelter and I'm there for about a week. And I remember my first night at the shelter, it was a rough one because I didn't realize that, like, even though I didn't come into direct contact with him, I got so triggered that I felt like I was like at day number 2 from when everything happened back then. My night terrors were on high, like to the point of an extreme, so much so that I started wetting the bed again at this shelter. Like, and I had to go to the office and tell them that I needed them to give me some good nights because I didn't know if I was going to be able to go to sleep or not wet the bed. And they were telling me, they were like, trauma is something that your body experiences. So trauma is something that your mind experiences. And it helped me to like realize that this was just so much more than my emotions and my self-esteem. This was so much more. And like 7 years is a long time to live in fear of someone. So anyway, I was there for a week and my phone rings. I'm so sorry.
You're doing great. You're doing great, Lee.
My phone rings and it's his mom. And she told me, she said, I think it was the right thing for me to inform you that my son's been arrested at the Greyhound bus station trying to get to Austin, Texas. And in that moment, I knew that he didn't follow me to Waco. That he lost me in Austin. Apparently he had gone to the Greyhound bus station and was literally just waiting for someone to be kind enough to buy him a ticket. When they arrested him, there was a situation where he was dating a girl and her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend or something went to their apartment to get his things. And when he went to get his things, there was a lock on the door that was kind of like, those refrigerators that have that little loopy thing, and then, you can put like a padlock on it. That was outside her door with a lock on it. And so he had to literally break down her door. Her and their teenage son had to break down the door. And when they went in, she was tied up, completely naked, with burn marks all over her arms. And nobody knew where her baby was. Apparently, he took her baby and took the baby to his mom. So that's how that kind of like unfolded. And so the mom had told me that like they had just came to pick up the baby from her, and that they found this woman tortured, crying, begging somebody to let her out of her own apartment. He was already hurting somebody else. So, given that he was sentenced to 23 years,
You haven't told me this part.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm sorry.
So he was sentenced to 23 years for my charges, another count of attempted manslaughter, rape, and all kinds of other charges, because when everything happened, 2 other women were found, they came forward about his attempts to hurt them as well.
Oh my God.
So it was that moment where I was like, every time like I ran away and I started over, I would always say, well, don't get too comfortable because he's gonna find you again and you're gonna have to start over. But it was that moment where I was forced to realize that this was my opportunity to start my life over. There was no more not getting comfortable. There was no more making excuses for living in my trauma. I was done. I was done running. I was done with all of it. And you know what? I'm glad that he tried to follow me to Austin, because what I think happened is he left that girl like sitting there tortured to come chase after me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because now she's safe and now she can be all right. And she can live her life and raise her children and try to overcome what's happened to her.
You're so fucking amazing.
And his mom, she's like, you're a hero.
Yeah.
And I don't know about all that.
Yes.
I don't know about all that, but I do know that there are times where I've heard other people say, this isn't your fault, or this or that, or, and I had a hard time. I had a hard time believing that. I really did believe that there's something that you can do to stop these bad things from happening. And the reality of it is you can't. And you can't change the way that people think. And you can't dictate the fact that some people just don't know how to love. They don't know what it looks like because they've chosen to be blind to that. And sometimes we wind up becoming a casualty of that. But it doesn't change the fact that we have a purpose and we are beautiful people. And the only thing that I'm thankful for from everything that's happened is that I never forgot that my purpose was love. I never forgot that love is the fuel that like runs my life and my heart, and that it really does run all things, it overcomes all things, it believes all things. And when I came to the United States, my grandmother put me on a plane and she told me to let love be my knife, that it would keep me safe, that it would fight for me, and that it would give me everything that I needed. And you know what? The fact that I was a loving person brought him into my life, but the fact that I love also rescued me from him. Because if that man hadn't been kind to me and let me find the shelter that I went to, if if a lot of things hadn't happened where complete strangers felt the need to be kind to me because I'm a kind person as well, I wouldn't be where I am today. I never let what happened to me make me ugly. It just made me want to show people that love can't be destroyed. And I am grateful that I'm still here. I will never like the fact that I am damaged. I will never be okay with what happened to me. But I know that in everything that I have set out to do in my life since I was born, I have done it genuinely and as myself, and I have given it all the love that I have to give. I never did anything wrong in anything I did because I did everything in my life with love. And yes, a lot of unfortunate things happened to me. But
Here comes
a
the
lot of
triumph.
amazing things happened to me too in the process. And um one of the things that keeps like sticking out for me as I'm talking about this is predators target anybody. Predators target susceptible people, hosts, you know. They'll target anybody that's a victim to them. Whether you're a child, a grown up, a woman, a man, a dog, a cat, it doesn't matter. If you are easy to
Amen.
get, they'll get you. And I say to myself, okay, I can take stock in that because even though I was targeted by a predator, and even though that predator almost killed me 3 times, and even though there was a lot of things that happened to me that changed how I look at a lot of things, changed how I go about and a lot of things, it never changed me.
Amen, girl.
It never made me forget that love was my purpose. Because let me tell you something, a lot of the things that happened, I know for a fact I have every right to be bitter. And I could be an angry person and I could make so many people pay because life happened to me and it's not fair. But that's not who I am. And if I had let that happen, then he would.
Oh, man.
And why the fuck would I give somebody the satisfaction of thinking that they won against me? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, he got his kicks. He felt good for the moment that he was doing what he did to me, but look at him now. That's the reality.
There's the
And I,
triumph part, though.
yeah, and the reality of it is like, I know that because of everything I endured, I know I have an amazing reward in my future. And that's to be able to help someone else save themselves so much anguish and pain, just to help them understand that they're still beautiful despite the fact that somebody didn't treat them like they were. It's not their fault that they didn't see you or that they didn't have eyes. It's not your fault that people didn't treat you the way you deserved. They just didn't see you. Or maybe they just didn't know what it looked like. But it doesn't change the reality. And that's that each and every one of us is a gift. And we deserve
I
all
love
the love
that.
in the world. We just have to wait for it to get to us. And so
Absolutely.
that's all I really wanted. That's all I really wanted to relay to you. Is that there's nothing wrong with letting love be your knife because it does eventually keep you safe. And although sometimes it feels like we're in this endurance trial that never gets a coffee break or anything, everything that happens to us really is meant to refine us. You know, like when you have a piece of ore or you have something that's in its raw form, you have to burn all these impurities. And then when you're done, you have this beautiful diamond or you have this beautiful piece of gold. So I just ask you to allow the things that happen to you to refine you. So you can just prepare to bling out instead of letting it define you and then just being defeated, you know? And that's all I really wanted to have you guys understand.
Is she amazing, you guys? I mean, I'm so fucking emotional right now. Like,
Now I
my
will say
God.
if anybody feels the need to approach me or come to me, I do a lot of advocacy for victims who are trying to get out of situations that they don't want to be in. I have a passion for researching resources in different parts of this country. So if you feel like you need my help in any way, and I'm talking about anything from just researching facilities to go to or just having someone to talk to, you're more than welcome to approach me in any way, shape, or form. I'm here. I just, any way that I can help anyone feel better about anything that's unpleasant, I would love to do that for you.
I'm
Thank you guys so
so
much. You guys
proud
are
of
so
you,
sweet.
Lee. You are fucking amazing, girl. you come through so much, and then the triumph over the tragedy is so inspiring. You're an amazing person,
Thank
so
you.
well spoken, and you carry yourself so well, and you did not let it defeat you, and so
I mean,
who you are.
honestly, I did. There was a period of time where I did. I was down. I mean, I was down for the count, and I had to kind of find that moment, and then come back up. Like I said, like I said earlier, like I am a product of trial and error. I went about dealing with my trauma in every way that was unhealthy. Then I tried the next thing, and so I've tried it all, to try to cope with what happened. But then at the end of the day, I kind of just had to have this like epiphany where I said, you know what, no, I can't, I can't do that. But I do know what it's like to rest in the circumstances and feel defeated. I was there too, and that's actually why I think I like to reach out so much to people because I know about all the phases of you know how we cope with shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it is rough.
Right.
It's rough to figure out the right way to deal with everything that's happened to us.
Hi, Cindy.
And I appreciate
Um,
all of your comments. You guys are amazing, and I thank you for following along with me and kind of dealing with all my emotions and everything. I appreciate that a lot.
you you did such an amazing job with that, and I'm so proud of you and just super impressed with. I'm just, I don't know. I'm so emotional right now. I don't even know what to say.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. I
Um,
was honored to be
do,
invited.
do you want to? It's 20. It's 10:23. So I know
Yeah,
you got a
I'm good.
broadcast that
I
you
still
have to
have an
do.
hour.
Are you open? Okay, so you open for a little Q&A
Yeah,
or
of course.
okay? Anybody have anything that you guys want to ask Lee?
Throw it at me. Let me have it.
I mean, God, like what a journey that, and that's what I was trying to tell everybody. Like, y'all are not gonna want to miss this shit. Like, this is a story that is gripping and absolutely like definitely it is the definition of a tragedy that would
And I knew
triumph
this was
at
gonna
the
mess up my makeup, y'all. I
end.
had to. I had to throw that comment in there. And
You
and
should
I
do that.
I did mention that, like, one thing that I try to be cautious about when I talk about everything that's happened is I know that people have triggers, and if there's any kind of suggestion that you guys have as to, how I can kind of try to be more tending to people's triggers and their traumas, because that's one of those things that I have been kind of battling since the first time I started speaking about this is how can I deliver this while tending to people's triggers, which I think is kind of impossible, but it's still good to try to see if there are ways, to kind of take care of that. Because I know
Yeah.
I saw that some people did say that they were DV victims, and so I was just kind of curious if it was comfortable for them to like kind of deal with listening to the story.
I'm gonna say for anybody that missed this, I know Haley came in a little bit late. Jess came in a little bit late. We had a few people that came in a little bit late. So we're gonna leave this. Usually we archive all of our lives. This one we will not archive. We're gonna leave this up. Um, so anybody that missed it, I'm gonna recommend that you double back and listen to this because this
Thank you.
woman has an amazing story. She's been um, on an incredible journey, and she is triumphant in the end. And I think that's the most beautiful part of her story.
I appreciate that, Teresa. Um, I think a lot of times, like when I prepared to start speaking about it, in the beginning, I got into so much detail, that it was very triggering. And actually, one part of the story that I did kind of leave out because of a reaction that I got during one of my speeches, was they had showed me these pictures of my face with all these. They have these cameras now where they'll take a picture of your like of your face or your body or whatever, and then when they develop the picture, they have these colors, right? And certain colors will tell how deep a contusion is or an abrasion is, how old basically a mark is. And I had so many colors on my face because when he would hit me, he would put a pillow over my face and then hit the pillow so that he wouldn't leave marks. So I wound up seeing all of these different colors on this picture. And I remember that when I saw the picture, I started touching like the face on the picture, like if I was touching my own face, and I'm like crying. And this girl got really upset because she had had a similar experience. And so, so I kind of just like left it out. But like, you know, sidebar, technology is a lot more advanced than we know, because I would have never known that they had some cool ass camera that told you how deep your bruising and marks were, or that you even have marks on underneath, and stuff like that. But um little things like that can kind of make a person get in their emotions. Like she actually left, she like I lost her as an audience member because of it. And so like, I try to be mindful of those things because I don't want to cause anybody to go home and then be dealing with all of their PTSD related issues at home because of some speech that they heard. You know what I mean? But like there is no way, like you can't please everybody. You can't make everybody happy, and I feel like without the dirty, you can't get to the clean, like that's the reality. And so it is what it is. I can't really, I can't be sorry for that, like I
You are
can't please the
amazing.
world here.
You're amazing, and you are also a very powerful woman. And I'm proud of you, and I admire you.
Well, thank you, Michael. You're so sweet. You made me blush.
Wow, I mean
I was
that's all I
so
can say.
nervous, you guys. I'm so sorry. I was really nervous.
You
I was so
did
scared.
so good.
So and you guys really made it so easy, so much easier to talk to, or to tell my story to. I feel like so relieved now that I like got to, that I got through it.
You
So
say
I
it is
appreciate it.
therapeutic, right? I told you it might be a little therapeutic.
I don't know about all that, but
Okay, yeah.
no. No, I no, it was. It is therapeutic. Like my thing about that is it becomes therapeutic over time. Like I think one of the things about it now is it's therapeutic for me because I'm not in the thick of it like I was back then. I think
Right.
the minute that I stopped running, it was like this huge weight like got lifted, and I was finally able to like embrace so much about what happened to me.
Like
And
this man was chasing you from place to place.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I can't
no, the thing is,
even.
this is the funny part. When I left Arizona to go to Texas, I literally had this mentality like nobody's gonna travel to try to hurt me. Like nobody's gonna go to another state, like. And then so when I find out that he was trying to get to, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like it was intense. Like it was because like that's when you realize how real the danger was.
Yeah,
And
that was. I'm
clearly
sorry.
like the family abuse center that I went to, clearly they were familiar with stuff like this because they knew it. Like you had to like go to the gate and tell them your name and what room you were in, and they had to open up this big old gate. Like it was very secure. Everything was super confidential. You couldn't call a lift or anything anywhere near the property. Like it was completely confidential. And so like they knew exactly what they were doing as far as like trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And so, like, I thought to myself, they must deal with some nitty gritty kind of people because they are
No
like dead
shit.
set on keeping you protected. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like when you first told me all of this stuff, I was just blown away by the whole, that part of it too. It's like you're not the only one,
yeah. Oh yeah,
and your
100%.
story is so fucking like crazy to me, but then there's more, and there's
Yeah.
more and there's more.
And it's funny because my daughters, when everything was happening to me, I hid that from them, and I thought that I had done a good job hiding what was happening, because he would stop abusing me when they would come in the room because he didn't want them to see me get abused either. It wasn't until like 2 days before everything happened with the
Yeah, I was gonna
burn.
say you didn't tell that part.
Yeah, when everything happened with the burn thing, that was the first time they had ever seen him be abusive to me. And so, like, fast forward to a couple months ago, last month, I went to my daughter's graduation, and we were she was driving me to the Greyhound station for me to go home, and she said, I watched everything that you went through with Fernando and how much it hurt you, that my standards are so high because I'm constantly looking for these red flags, and I have these standards. And if
Yeah.
if you're not with it, then you're out. And I'm listening to my daughter and I'm so proud of her when she's saying this to me. But at the same time, I'm like, did I really look that weak to her that she had to like feel like I didn't have any standards? Like it made me feel like for someone who wanted to portray this strong mother, strong, powerful woman, I I probably had to have looked so weak in her eyes for her to sit there and say, oh, like now my standards are so high because I never wanted to feel like you felt in that moment. So it was kind
I
of
don't think
bittersweet.
so. I think that you probably appeared to her like so strong and so victorious that you come through this like this that she, I mean, and you've probably because of your shit and all that, you probably saved her from some type of. There's no way she's ever gonna let that shit happen to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, she is on it. And if you can't meet her standards, you are out. I mean, she just, you know, and once again, Miss Jess, that's a long time. You are definitely one of those people who define fortitude, you know, perseverance, because 23 years is a long time, hun. It's a long
Yeah,
time.
Jess has told me some of her story before too, and I've given her the, she has an open invitation as well to,
And it's funny because one of the biggest things for me, because I have done so much work to overcome what happened to me, I do still have severe PTSD. I do still have a lot of triggers that I deal with. But the hardest part, and I've said this numerous times, is the fact that I feel haunted every day because when I go to sleep, I don't dream. I have night terrors. And it's a relive. Like, night terrors are the worst because you don't remember them. Like, um, I would
exactly.
have a night terror at my old apartment, or where I was living just before, and I would have a night terror. And one of the biggest things about the night terrors is when you wake up, you're like trying to figure out when you are, if that makes sense. Like, because you don't know if you're back then when it happened or if you're like today, because it's just like a recap of whatever's happened. And so, like, they had a dog. They had Littlefoot, this little dog, and then this little puppy. So I would wake up from this night terror and I would hear this damn dog barking all night, whatever. And I remembered that I didn't have a dog when this happened, so I know that I'm today, you know. But I can't tell you the last time I had a dream, like a dream that I remember. Like, I can count with both hands how many times I've had a dream in the last 8 years, because when I go to sleep, it's
Trying to
always
tell
a
me.
night terror. And I've done sleep studies. I've done so many things, and they say that my brain frequency is literally I don't get to REM sleep, so I can't have dreams. And they have a lot of medications that you can take for nightmares, but those medications are for nightmares, not night terrors, which are two totally different things.
Okay,
night
so
terror-
did I understand you correctly when you said that when you were there during this man's trial, he was convicted for what he did to you?
For the trial, the only charge that he picked up for that trial was assault. Okay.
Against you.
But he took a
So
plea.
how much time did he actually pick up for what he did to you?
Well, when I testified against him in the trial, he got about a total of 2.5 years for the assault. Then when he wound up getting arrested a year and a half ago, they stacked up strangulation, attempted manslaughter, and something else to do with cyber stalking.
Cyber stalking, yeah.
Yes, they put that on top of the charges that he already had on with the other girls.
And that was because he was using your location to find where you were and all of that.
Because my account was in his phone and he was to have no contact with me.
So he ended up with how many years total off of what he did?
23 years, which 5 of them were knocked off of the sentence because of some other shit or whatever. So it wound up. So basically, he has to spend 18 years in prison, and 15 of those 18 years has to be in a psychiatric facility.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like justice was served, or?
Oh yes, I feel like. Look, I don't give a shit about justice. I really don't, because it doesn't exist in this place. But that man needed help. He needs help. Here. Someone needs to teach this man what love and respect and treating people like humans and what the right thing looks like.
You're on another level. Because most people would not look at it like that. They want vindication.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Are any of those things going to get me my life back? Are any of those things going to give me what I want? No.
So wouldn't matter how much he got, because you're sentenced to a full life of trauma now. Nothing takes that back.
And hurting somebody else is going to make me feel better about that?
But doesn't he
I'm not
have
him.
to pay for that? He has
I'm
to
not
pay
him.
for that.
I'm not him. So the way I define vengeance and the way I define justice is different, because I would rather him suffer in his own shit. He can spend the rest of his life punishing himself for the terrible things that he's done. So what I want somebody to psychologically rehabilitate that man so he can understand the difference between right and wrong, and spend the rest of his life punishing himself for the things that he has done hurting those women.
You're amazing.
I'm sorry. I know I got really loud there.
No, you're good. I mean,
but literally, I feel like
you have every right to every emotion that you have over everything that has happened to you.
I'm like, fix that man so that he can start to learn what the difference is between right and wrong, and then he can punish himself for the rest of his life and live in his own shame. That's a punishment. That's torture.
I'm with you, Frankie. I mean, I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? Because if I kill him, that's an easy way out. He's out. He's done. Then what? No, I want him to punish himself to the point of unrecognizability. It's from The Princess Bride, man. Like, walk around with this hideous face where everybody runs every time they see you, that kind of shit. I want you to spend your rest of your life in your own shame. That's justice to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But like, if he isn't even to the point where he knows any better, then it's for nothing. So that's why I was so grateful that they sent him to a psychiatric facility, because maybe they can fix his way of thinking and he can realize what he's done to all of us, and then punish himself for the rest of his life for what he did to us.
Can somebody like that actually be fixed, though? I mean, is there a rehabilitation for that type of mentality?
You know what? I don't know, but I can at least hope. You know?
Well, you're a bigger person than most of us, especially after what this dude put you through. That,
now,
you know,
I will say this. I would love for that man never to see the outside of a prison,
There you go. That's
but
what I was hoping to hear
that's
from you.
because I worry that they won't succeed at
Somebody else,
fixing
yeah.
him.
There's
You know what I
more
mean?
victims out there for him if
Yeah.
not. Yeah, for
But
sure.
something tells me
It's like
with
these
his,
child predators.
with his behavior and his ways of being, he's going to get so much more time. I really feel like he's going to wind up somehow violating something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But the
Yeah,
reality of it is at this point, it's not my problem anymore because I deserve to start my life over.
that's right.
You know, I
You
deserve to
came
start. I
out of
deserve to live
this.
my life. I deserve to stop worrying about what happens to his stupid ass because he never worried about me for a second. He played a
That's
game
right.
with me. He fucked me up psychologically. He literally still has me to this day wondering if there's somebody else out there pretending to love me for 2 years and all of those things. I question every person that has ever told me that they were in love with me because of that man.
Yeah, I mean that's a shame. Like,
You know, like
and that's something that we
like
did with our Carrie. Remember, you and I the other night we
messenger.
were talking about baggage and shit that we bring into
Yeah,
relationships based upon our past and shit, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. It's like,
there are certain
unfortunately,
things
the
though.
next person gets to catch a piece of that last go round because
Now, I do.
you know,
On that note, I will say this: I don't believe that it's fair to knowingly punish like your next relationship or the next person that you're with for the past.
no,
However, I do know what it's like to have these scars that cause you to kind of try to be cautious of those things. And I feel like
that was
I feel like
exactly what I was gonna say.
I feel like the best way to overcome that, especially if you're trying to love again or trying to move forward, is to be transparent and communicate those things to the person you're with. And I'm
Exactly.
not saying, oh, you're a jerk because the last guy was a jerk and that's what he did, so you're a jerk. No, I'm
Yeah,
saying
so
like,
you're gonna
listen,
do that to
I'm
me
having
too,
these
right?
fears because I went through this and this is why I'm feeling like this. And you're explaining that to that person and you're giving them the chance to mend that.
Right.
I think it's very
Yeah.
important to
Like
give
you
the
don't
person that you
expect
try
that
to be
next
with.
person to fuck you up in that kind of way, but
Yeah.
you're also have that guard up in case it does
Well,
come back.
that and then like in a way, it's kind of like a form of like I don't know how to properly word it, but it's like when I like let's say I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm fearing that like they're looking at me in this way or whatever, and I say to them, listen, I was in this relationship where this person told me they loved me and it was a lie, and I'm scared that that's what's happening here. And then what I'm like desperately looking from you is to say, this is real. Like I'm looking for you to rescue me from that thought. You know, I'm looking for you to try to deter that in any way. And the way that you react to that is going to tell me everything I need to know. So
You
it's
know,
kind of
but
like you're looking for this like internal like subliminal rescue, but at the
mhm.
same time you're still putting it out there that you're afraid.
But you know, the next person almost has to work a little bit harder
I don't think so.
to overcome those things that the last however many traumas came before that to
I don't think so.
overcome
I
that.
really don't believe that because I feel like if I wasn't transparent about those fears, then you would be having to work hard because you'd be having to figure out the mystery and then, you know, but because I'm vocal about it with you, I'm not making you work that hard at all. I'm literally putting it out there for you to clarify. And once you clarify, then I keep stock in it and I'm good. You know?
But I mean, you're still carrying that with you inside you. So you have those doubts and you have those fears inside you, and that's not going to go away.
Well, guess what? If you're a person who carries your shit with you, when people say things like, I'm a damaged person, and you still decide to pursue that damaged person, part of the package, honey.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree
So
with
so
you.
it's not even something like you can even say, oh well, I have to work harder. Well, you're the one that decided to fall in love with me. So You know
No,
what I'm saying? Because
I'm just
like
saying.
I like
What
the type of
I
person
what I
I'm
was
so
getting at is
transparent
like
about the fact
what
that
we
I'm
were
damaged
talking about the other
that
night about
everybody
how
knows.
we carry our traumas and the baggage and shit, into the
It
next
just
one,
is what it
whether
is.
we want to or not, whether we want to admit it or not. We do. I mean, that it's just
It just is what it is. Like we all are different packages, and I choose to not address those things so much because if you fell in love with that person, part of all that shit made them who they were. So why even worry about it?
that's right. Well, I mean, I don't mean it in that way. Let's see. This is I don't trust anyone because
Okay,
I say
Jess.
so. But I think I have to get enough loved by the way I
That's
need to be loved.
where
Hmm.
Miss Jess. I just want to address that real quick. Okay. Um, up until about shit. Let me not even say up until because sometimes I still say it. I run around considering myself damaged goods. That I've been ruined and that nobody really deserves to have to put up with the mess that is me. Nobody deserves to have to wake up to you having night terrors and calming you down. Nobody deserves to have to tend to you and all your PTSD related issues. And you're saving them the trouble by just not having them bother. And
Oh.
I once heard somebody tell me that I may believe that I'm a mess, but maybe I'm a mess that they want. We don't get to
Exactly.
dictate how good enough we are for somebody if they decided that we're good enough for them. We can't judge how valuable we are to another person. So although we may not feel like we're good enough for somebody, they might think that we're just enough.
Mm,
So you really have to just not worry
I
about
love
that
that.
because like I was talking about that tattered book. I don't know if you were here to hear my story about that, but I spent a long time believing that I
I
was like
love
this
that
book.
euphemism.
Okay. And I always talk about like you buy this brand new book and then life and everything happens and makes it this worn out book with missing pages and I don't know jelly in it and it's just a mess. And then you take it and you're trying to sell it at a yard sale and nobody's going to want to buy this worn out book, right? And I remember I told that story one time and somebody came up to me after I spoke about it and said, "I have a favorite book and it's a tattered out, worn out book. It's a Bible." And it was a Bible that was handed down to his family, and his family is like it's his favorite, most precious book. And so to us, we might be this ratted out, worthless book that no one wants to buy. But to someone else, we might be as precious as a Bible. And so we
You are
can't
so
really define
fucking
that.
inspirational.
And so I really hope that maybe you hearing that will help you change that point of view a little bit because we don't get to tell people how they want to value anything, including us. So I hope that helps you a little bit, Miss Jess.
You never cease to amaze me. Please.
You make me blush, I swear. No, but like honestly, like sometimes when I read those things, it makes me sad because I know exactly what that feels like, and it's a difficult thing to move past. I'm telling you, like sometimes, like there was points in time where I was like, "Don't fucking talk to me. I'm just a mess that you don't want to deal with," and, da, 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 and I'm helping you, and people will be like, "Well, why do you have to be so guarded? Maybe to me, you're that mess I want to deal with." And the reality of it is, we can't tell people what to do or how to feel or what to think, you know. And maybe they want that mess. Maybe they like the challenge. I don't know. Maybe you have a second twisted perspective. I don't know nothing about, but hey, have at it if you'd like. Like it's
Oh man,
so.
you're too much.
But I'm gonna give you like another 10 minutes, and then I have to redo my makeup and all that jazz.
Well, if anybody has any questions for Miss Lee, please go ahead and come with those. And I just
And you
want
have
to
my
say,
permission to share my information with whoever if they ask for it or ask about it or
pretty sure that if anybody out there is needing or looking for resources, and I think Lee can probably guide you in the proper direction. So,
And not
you
just
know,
that, even if you want someone to talk to, or if you want to share your story with me, or just get into more thorough detail about anything that you've heard tonight, I'm more than willing to get with you on a one-on-one basis and talk with you more privately about it if that's something that you feel will help you. Anything that will help you or give you something to cope with or make you feel more informed, I'm more than willing to step in and help. It's kind of my purpose in a way.
did you see Frankie's question?
He's actually going to do 18. No, and it's like dead set. Like it's 18 definite. Like no time for good behavior, no none of that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. You know, that's one thing that we talk about a lot with these child predators. You know, these guys, they get such a light sense, and it depends a lot on where the location is and shit like that. But and then they come and reoffend, and at sometimes,
Welcome.
they'll, like Luna will tell you, they'll be decoying somebody that is being decoyed by another decoy. Like these dudes are like multiple, you know, and so like you're saying, like this guy, you know, you're likely, I mean, you know, there's no telling how many victims.
Well, the reality of it is all of us women that were hurt by him came forward in the end. I was apparently the one that was done the worst because of the similarities that I had to Grace, which was his mom. The majority of the girls, he didn't get far enough with them because either somebody showed up or they screamed or they drew attention to themselves. With me, he spent so much time getting so deep in with me that we were like living this life. You know, we were in a relationship, and most of the girls that he was hurting after me were kind of like just random, kind of like physical relationships. So he didn't get a chance to hurt them as much. The girl that they found locked up, she had only been seeing him for like about a month, and she was into like being dominated and stuff like that. So she thought they were just going to be having fun, and then it just got kind of scary. But the thing was that she, like, every single one of them was a single mom. Every single one of them was this, and he was targeting them. And the reality of it was when they prosecuted him for that last time, there was enough cases of it that it was like almost kind of like, I don't want to say like a serial killer, but like it was happening multiple times. There were enough victims that it could be used as something. There was like another charge that I can't really, but it was something that had to do with torture and kidnapping or something like that, and or holding someone against their will. And that's what made the charge so big, was that there was more than one victim, and that it had to do with like holding somebody against their will. But the thing was too is like I wasn't.
We lost Lee somehow. Hopefully she'll grab that link again and jump back in. Don't know what happened right there. Well, damn it. Here we go. Let's get her back up here. I'm sure that's her. Yeah. There we go. Not sure what happened there.
My back button is gonna kill me.
No, okay. Get back again.
No, but I wasn't able to follow that case, that last case, because when everything happened, that was when I was at the shelter, and I was so emotionally messed up that like I couldn't even get the details of everything until after he had already been sentenced, and it was from his mom. So there's so many details that I probably could find out about it that I chose not to, because I was so like, I want to be done with it. But there was definitely justice for more than just me. But the damage is
Awesome.
permanent. Like I feel like I got
I
justice
hope every
according to
one of
my
his
corrupt
victims feel
justice
like
system.
they got justice. I mean, if you feel like you got justice and the rest of them feel like they got justice, then, you know, this man got what he deserved, essentially.
Well, the
Or
other
did
thing
he?
is that
Or
I
did
don't
he?
know about
Because,
other jail
like I said
systems, but I know
earlier, you're sentenced to a whole life of trauma. And eventually, this guy, what, he gets to walk out at some point in time? You don't get to walk out of this.
no, I know. But but if I hold on to that, then I'm defeated.
No, you're not defeated because you are victorious by exactly what you just did here tonight. I mean, you are fucking amazing, girl. You just need to know that.
Oh, you're embarrassing me.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm just saying. I mean,
I'm
you're
kidding.
incredible to me. You're amazing to me. Like you are inspirational. I can't even.
Well, you're very sweet,
Thank you.
and I appreciate that. And
Thank
once
you.
again, I'm honored, and I'm so thankful that you guys invited me to speak with you, and I'm very grateful that you all like took the time to hear me out and let me kind of power through that. So I appreciate all of the people who came
We
to
were so
listen.
happy to have you, for real. And um, I know that was hard for you, and so there again, I'm so proud of you, and you're
And
just so.
if you ever want me to come back and elaborate on certain things or talk about certain things, I'm more than willing to do that, and give my input on anything like that. I do feel like over the years I've learned a lot about processing and getting through a lot of PTSD related things. I think one of the biggest challenges for us as women who are dealing with PTSD is triggers, man. Triggers are a bitch. Um,
Right.
and I'm talking about like something so simple as going to the grocery store and seeing something and hearing something and boom, oh, I didn't realize I had that trigger and now I'm dealing with it right here in the middle of Walmart type shit. And
Right.
it's a heavy thing. It's a heavy thing. And I think that if we had more women or people in like similar situations, it would be so much easier for us to process and get through that.
Yeah.
And if
I'm
anybody
sure
out
there's
there,
gonna be, we're gonna leave this live up. So, and usually we archive all of our lives, but this one we're gonna leave on the page, and I'm sure that you're gonna get, comments and questions and this and that after everybody watches, as it, sits there and resonates with everybody. So maybe you'll want to revisit if,
of
and if
course,
so, you're more than welcome to. And
yeah,
thank you so much
you're welcome,
for
honey.
coming up and telling your story.
You're welcome. Anytime,
You're
anytime.
amazing.
Much love to everybody. I gotta head out, but it was an honor, and y'all have a good night. Okay.
It was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you. I told y'all that um, that was going to be an amazing story and something that everybody wanted to not miss out on. So, I mean, can y'all believe that shit? Like, she and comes out on the other side. Look at her. I mean, she's out on the other side victorious, I believe, you know? So, from tragedy to victory, and her attitude after coming through everything that she came through to still have that attitude and her personality and just like everything's still intact. It's is my mic not good? Can you not hear me, Tammy? God, y'all, like that's a lot. That was a lot. She is such an inspiration, I think, and probably should be for like every woman that's ever been through that kind of shit before. So, man, I don't even know what else to say. I'm just totally like, Luna, are you still here? Would you like to come back up um and let's close it out? If you're not still here, then I'll close it out myself. But if you're still here, then I would love it if you come up here and let's close this live out together like we always do. Um, so anybody else, what do y'all think? I mean, was that amazing or what? Well, thank you all for coming. And man, so I just don't even know what to say like anymore. I'm at a loss right now. So Luna, are you still with me? She may not be. It may have gotten a little too late for her. But either way, at any rate, the live will stay up, you guys. So anybody that didn't get to hear the whole thing, you'll have the opportunity to double back and check it out. And I would suggest that you do. Yes, Frankie, for real. Mind blowing, heartbreaking, and then um, triumphant at the end, right? So, man, you gotta love that. Somebody that can come through that kind of shit and still have that kind of attitude and personality and not feel defeated by I mean it's just she's inspiring to me. To me, I think she's amazing. But thank you guys for coming and I appreciate it. And hopefully you guys will come and join us again on the next time around and we'll do this again. Something maybe not quite so um intense. I don't know. But man, Isn't she? She's outstanding. She's an amazing woman. She's very inspirational, and I am super proud of her. So, and yeah. So you guys, be sure and like the page, share this out, and let's get together again, do this again. We'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good night.